Chapter 741. Doing something for husband. Chapter 741. Doing something for husband. Huh? Yunzi's hand shook. Miss, is he really not Mo Yushin? Is he Xiaoyan's husband then? He says he's Mo. Xiao Ling looked in shock at the bloody scene, and the man, who had a sword on his back. Which arrogant fool dares kill at Chan City's gates? A furious voice sounded, and an old man appeared at the gates. You're from the Tai sect? Mo saw the old man's clothes and knew that he was from the Tai sect. He was a great heaven master and seemed a bit stronger than that elderman, but he was still only at the great heaven primary stage. To him, that little strength was worthless. The old man sneered. You look a little like Marshal Nephew Yushin, but no matter what, you must die. As soon as the man finished speaking, he saw Mo's sword fly up into the sky on its own, accompanied by a sword ray. Sword manipulation, the old man exclaimed in shock. Even great heaven peak masters couldn't do that. Only the legendary state above great heaven could allow you to achieve that. You're above great heaven. The old man could only say this before he quickly tried to hide, but no matter how fast he was, his arm was still sliced off like tofu. Mo had to congratulate the old man for his agility. Let me see how long you can hide. Mo controlled his flying sword again, and it was much faster this time. The great heaven master's soul was shattered while he was still screaming, "Don't attack, we can talk at." However, he could never utter that last word. 3 sword rays had cut him into 4 slices already. Yunzi looked at Mo with a pale face, while her heart was in a tsunami of shock. It was him indeed. He was the one who killed Elderming in Hangshui City. He had bought the Earth Spirit fruit. He had taken out that 500 kilograms of gold. He was that big beard. He had probably gotten the Jialan flower too. So he was this strong? Great heaven masters couldn't even stand one blow of his. He could even manipulate his sword. What level of power had he achieved? She had guessed right indeed, yet she missed the opportunity to connect to him. Yunzi's mind went black. A tornado of a man like him. Who was this powerful? How could he supposedly have no talent? Mo then turned to Z and said plainly, "Goddess Ihua, I believe you know in which direction Ice Lake is. Please tell me, here is a pill for your internal injuries, which are quite heavy. It's yours. I said I owed you before, so now I've paid you back." Mo looked at the man on the horse. The man was a half-step great heaven cultivator, yet even with him Yunzi was still heavily injured. Yunzi took the bottle shakily and even forgot to reply. Seeing Mo starting to frown, Xiao Ling quickly pulled Yunzi. Yunzi finally calmed down a little and shakily replied, "Mr. Yi, are you looking for Sister Xiaoyan?" "She's not in Ice Lake. She's at Magical Continent Mountain now, 50 kilometers from here, in the Hidden Sex grading tournament. She's representing Ice Lake there." Hearing that Mu Xiaoyan was fine, Mo heaved a sigh of relief. "Where is it exactly? I'll be going there now." Mo couldn't wait any longer. Yunzi quickly said, "You was planning on going there now too, so you can come with me. There is one thing, however. After this tournament, Xiaoyan will be joining the Tai Se Dash." "What?" Mo immediately interrupted. Yunzi quickly explained, "Because there's someone called Mo Yushin in the Tai sect who kept harassing Xiaoyan. She went back to Ice Lake to hide, but Tai was too domineering and chased all the way to Ice Lake. They said that Mu Xiaoyan belongs to Tai, and since Ice Lake is weak, after some negotiations, they allowed Xiaoyan to join Tai after the tournament." Mo's face grew colder and colder. Xiaoyan knew he had enmity with Tai. She would never join it voluntarily, so she must have been forced. Yunzi saw Mo's cold face, and his intense killing intent made her shiver. She immediately said, "You left for 4 years. 1 year ago, Sister Xiaoyan said that she would rather die than join Tai, but where is Magical Continent Mountain?" Mo asked again. Yunzi shivered and pointed west subconsciously, It's 50 kilometers to the west from here. By chariot it takes dash. Yunzi was then suddenly made speechless as she saw in a daze how Yi Mo stepped onto the flying sword and disappeared into the horizon. Not only Yunzi, but also Xiaoling and the horse rider were dazed. Yi Mo could fly on a sword? Who was he? Was he an immortal or something? Yunzi's body was shaking with excitement. After a long while, she came back to her senses and quickly said to the man beside her, "Uncle Tom, quick, we need to go to Magical Continent Mountain as fast as possible." The biggest mountain in the hidden sects was undoubtedly the Magical Continent Mountain. It wasn't tall, but it had 9 peaks surrounding the mountain. The mountain top was very flat and had an area of tens of millions of square meters. For countless years, the tournament to decide the hidden sex grades had been held there. The hidden sex resources were limited, and so a lower grade meant less resources. So it meant a lot. Every 20 years, the second grade and below sex would have their tournament there. Every 100 years, the special grade and first grade sex would hold their tournament there too. Now was the most busy time of that place as the 20-year and the 100-year tournament were being held there at the same time. This overlap meant something special. This time, the gradeless sex could challenge the special grade sex, and as long as they won, they would take their place as a special grade hidden sect. Moreover, there was no age restriction on the challengers. They just had to not be an elder. Usually people wouldn't challenge you, though, because if, for example, you were a second grade sect and you lost too many times, you risked being demoted to a third grade sect. Ice Lake was actually on the verge of losing their third grade title. Although there were many sects present, there weren't that many people participating. Third grade sects usually just had 2 members participate at most. Special grade sects could send out as many as 5 members. The higher the grade, the more stable the status. Even if one member lost, there would still be others. But this wasn't the case for the low-grade hidden sections. This time, Ji Ilan and Mu Xiaoyan were representing Ice Lake. Elder Feng and 2 Earth-level elders had come too, because they would matter if Ice Lake could reach the second grade. Xiaoyan. Ji Ilan looked worriedly at Mu Xiaoyan. Her face had been very cold ever since coming to Magical Continent Mountain. Mu Xiaoyan suddenly got up and walked up to the stage, but Ji Ilan quickly stopped her. "Xiaoyan, our round hasn't started yet. Now is the challenging time." "Martial sister Ilan, I know. I've already helped Ice Lake win 2 rounds. I want to do something for my husband now." Mu Xiaoyan from 3rd grade Ice Lake challenges the Tai sect. Mu Xiaoyan stood on the stage with a blue dress. A light breeze blew on her dress, making her look like a goddess who was about to fly away. Chapter 742. Forgetting to block the strike. Chapter 742. Forgetting to block the strike. Such a pretty woman. Yes, but why is a 3rd grade sect challenging Tai sect? That's like asking to die. PFFF, she's not asking to die. They say that she has been chosen by Tai sect. After representing Ice Lake, she will get married into Tai sect. Do you think Tai sect would kill her? Yes, I saw her match yesterday. She's black level peak, and she's not even 30 years old. I think she's called Mu Xiaoyan. No wonder she's challenging Tai sect. She probably wants to leave them a good impression. When Mu Xiaoyan claimed her intentions, no one thought she was really trying to challenge Tai sect. After all, these special grade sects' genius disciples were unbeatable. Moreover, against a special grade sect, it was usually Earth-level masters and even half-step grade heaven masters who challenged. It was a special case that Tai and Kuan Xian had succeeded 100 years ago. Ji Ilan was worried sick. She knew it was pointless to find Grandma for help, but she still did so. A skinny old man was unhappy. He scanned the rest of the elders and looked at the bald fat man. After a long while, he said, "Elder Jean, is this the girl that you spoke about?" "Yes, Vice Sect Leader Chi." He acted cocky in front of others, but He would never dare to do so in front of the vice sect leader. Vice sect leader Chi's tone was cold. The first requirement for joining the sect is loyalty. This girl clearly hates our sect, and yet you let someone like her join us? Elder Jean was at a loss for words. He quickly said, "She's my disciple's fiancée." He wasn't planning on marrying her, but when he realized she is a level 1 talent and saw her beauty, he changed his mind. So, Elder Jean continued, seeing that Vice Sect Leader Chi didn't speak. If Vice Sect Leader Chi doesn't think she's suitable to be our disciple, then she can just serve my disciple. We can't let her gain strength in Ice Lake either. And Vice Sect Leader Chi nodded. Even if they couldn't take her as a disciple, they couldn't allow her to get stronger in Ice Lake and empower them. Master, I want this Mu Xiaoyan. I want to see her on the stage. She reminds me of that girl I saw outside. A 30-year-old man suddenly got up and said at that moment. Hearing this, Vice Sect Leader Chi frowned. Yuan Zhong, you're too superficial. After all these years, you've only gone from the peak of the black level to the earth level primary stage because you spent too much time thinking about women. This man heard this and promised immediately, Master, I'm for real this time. If I can have this woman, I promise I won't go out with other women anymore. The reason I haven't been progressing much is because of the death of that girl. Vice Sect Leader Chi sighed. Don't mention that thing again. I feel uneasy about it. Master, you worry too much. Our Tai is one of the big 3 who would dare do anything to us. Also, it's been many years and nothing has happened. I promise, if I get that woman this time, I will give my best to cultivate. Yuan Zhong promised. Vice Sect Leader Chi clearly spoiled Yuan Zhong, but he just sighed. It's better to be careful. Still, this woman Elder Jean saw Vice Sect Leader Chi look over and immediately knew what was going on. This made it hard for him, but before he said anything, the young man behind him moved forward. He saluted Vice Sect Leader Chi and said, Vice Sect Leader Chi, Mu Xiaoyan was given to me by my master. If Martial Brother Yuan likes her, she's truly lucky. I'm willing to give this woman to Martial Brother Yuan. Very well, what is your name? Yuan Zhong immediately smiled and patted his shoulder. The young man said respectfully, Mo, Yushin greets Martial Brother Yuan. I just became a core disciple of Tai. Oh, so you're Mo Yushin. Not bad. Yuan Zhong applauded Mo Yushin. Mo Yushin's attitude made Elder Jean breathe at ease. And even Vice Sect Leader Chi nodded. This man knew what was his and what couldn't be his. Vice Sect Leader Chi said to Yuan Zhong, Go. But after this, you must focus. Yes, Master. Yuan Zhong rejoiced and immediately jumped onto the stage. His gliding landing immediately rallied a round of applause and cheers. See, that is Tai's Vice Sect Leader Chi's disciple, Martial Brother Yuan. He's only 30, and he's already at the earth level. He's a true genius. No wonder his kung fu movements are this good. Yuan Zhong heard the cheers and of course saluted back to everyone joyfully. Then he studied Mu Xiaoyan. He loved her the more he looked at her. Martial Sister Xiaoyan, I'm Yuan Zhong, a core disciple of Tai. My master is Qi Zhen, Tai Sect's Vice Sect Leader Chi. My master engaged you to me. Don't worry about Mo Yushin, he agreed to it. I fell in love with you at first sight. Don't worry, I will treat you well. Mu Xiaoyan didn't seem to hear this. She picked up her sword and attacked. With Yi Mo's speed, he arrived at the mountain quickly. However, he felt an anti-air restriction again, just like at Wuan Mountain. He couldn't fly. Yi Mo sighed. He was still too weak. If he was strong, he could just ignore it. Yet now he had to get down and walk. Yi Mo was also sure that a long time ago, that place must have indeed been a cultivation ground. But as time went by, the spirit chi had dissipated and made cultivation regress into ancient martial arts. The dependence on spirit chi for ancient martial arts was far lesser than for Tao cultivation. Perhaps there had been here a large sect a long time ago. Yemo was very fast even without flying. Unlike in Wu Wen Mountain, there were no ground restrictions here. Yemo did 15 kilometers and got there in no time. When he was at the bottom of the mountain, his spirit sense scanned Mu Xiaoyan attacking a man with her sword. She was just at stage 3, while that man was at the Earth-level primary stage. Even for Yemo, that wouldn't have been easy when he was at stage 3-3. Mu Xiaoyan had 0 fighting experience. How could she be a match for her opponent? Thinking about this, Yemo sped up and darted like a whirlwind. He stepped on countless shoulders to reach the stage. Clank, Yuanzhong blocked the sword. However, the fire sparks made Yuanzhong understand that Mu Xiaoyan was trying to kill him. Such a beautiful woman, but she attacked so ferociously. This made Yuanzhong want to conquer her even more. Watch my sword. Yuanzhong knew that Mu Xiaoyan could block it for sure, so he only used 80% of his qi, but when the sword struck down, he and everyone else were dazed. Mu Xiaoyan seemed to be asking to die. She had forgotten to block the sword. Instead, she was looking away with joy and happiness. Chapter 743. Nail Kill. Chapter 743. Nail Kill. Mu Xiaoyan wasn't blocking, but Yuanzhong's sword was still hacking down. Everyone watching the match knew that Mu Xiaoyan's fate was sealed. Such a beautiful lady was about to be killed. Some of the spectators didn't even want to watch anymore and closed their eyes. Yuanzhong was shook as well. He didn't want to kill Mu Xiaoyan at all. He could only blame his poor luck. He finally met a girl he really felt something for, yet she was about to be killed by him. But before he could properly regret, he heard a clink sound, while he felt like his hand was a little lighter. He looked at the sword in his hand subconsciously and found that he was only holding a hilt. "Ye dear, husband, is that you?" Mu Xiaoyan's eyes became misty. Ever since she starts cultivating the primordial fortune chant, her spirit sense had gotten amazing. Although she was only stage 3, her spirit sense nearly reached 1 kilometer. She hadn't even intentionally been scanning with her spirit sense, but had just felt Yemo's qi, the husband she had been longing for day and night, had finally come. She forgot that she was still on the fighting stage, as all her attention was on the person who half just appeared. As soon as her voice sounded, the figure of her dreams held her in his arms, embracing her with one of his powerful arms. Mu Xiaoyan was shaking while tightly hugging Yemo. "Ye babe, am I dreaming?" Mu Xiaoyan's voice was shaky. She didn't care about all the people watching her. She was just afraid that the moment she loosened her hand, Yemo would disappear. Yemo caressed Mu Xiaoyan's hair and said, "Xiaoyan, you're not dreaming. I'm sorry, I'm late." "Ye babe, is this really not a dream?" Mu Xiaoyan looked up, verifying reality once more, and she saw Yemo's recovered face. In truth, she didn't even need to look. She only needed to feel the qi in Yemo's arms and see Yemo's eyes to know that the person in front of her was her husband. "My face is recovered," Yemo uttered. And Mu Xiaoyan didn't want to move anymore. Yemo patted her arm and said, "Xiaoyan, get up for now. I need to take care of this guy. How dare he try to kill you?" Mu Xiaoyan listened and got up, but still stood behind Yemo. Yuanzhong was looking at the sword hilt in his hand in shock. This sword was from the Forgery Hall's elite collection, yet now it was broken just like that. He couldn't believe his eyes. All he had seen was a white flashing light, and his sword was broken before he knew it. By now, though, he finally reacted and looked coldly at Yemo before asking, "Who are you? How dare you break the rules?" Yemo flicked his flying sword and said plainly, "Are you deaf? Did you not hear Xiaoyan call me husband?" Yuanzhong had already decided that Mu Xiaoyan was his, so now that she suddenly had a husband, this made Yuanzhong furious. How dare this fellow steal his woman? Your F asterisk king asking to die. You dare take my woman, I'll make you regret coming into this world. Before he could continue his threats, he was instantaneously slapped on the face a couple of times. His mouth was covered in blood, as even a couple of his teeth flew out. Yi Mo then stopped his hand as he saw a shield-shaped card on Yuan Chang's belt. He immediately grabbed it. Yi Mo looked at it and saw the words Tai. So that was you. Yi Mo's voice went ice cold. Stop! Two yells sounded as two half-step great heaven masters landed on the stage. Yi Mo didn't seem to hear them and asked Yuan Chong in a cold voice, a few years ago, did you go outside and hit a girl in Ninghai? How do you know? Yuan Chong looked at Yi Mo in shock and asked subconsciously, ha ha ha, you ran into me without me having to look for you. Yi Mo laughed. Ning Qingxue would have died if he hadn't given her the necklace and she hadn't lost her memories because of this trash. And today, this scum wanted to kill Mu Xiaoyan too. How could Yi Mo let him go? Ignorant fool, you're asking to die. The two half-step great heaven masters saw Yi Mo laugh in madness on the stage and couldn't hold back anymore. Two fist shadows smashed towards Yi Mo. Two mere half-step great heaven fellows dared be cocky in front of him. Yi Mo didn't even look as he punched with both fists, and their inner chi auras clashed. Yi Mo's fist broke through the inner chi of his two attackers and smashed their chests. The two flew out of the stage, spewing blood. Immediately, when the two fell off the stage, they covered their chests with their hands and looked at Yi Mo in shock. Clearly, Yi Mo didn't use his full power there, or they would have died. They were sure that even a great heaven master wouldn't be able to injure them this easily, yet this young man had. Tai E Sec's vice sect leader Chi sneered and said to Elder Jean, bring Yuan Chong back. Yes. Elder Chi quickly glided down. Although he had witnessed Yi Mo's power, with his great heaven middle stage power, he would easily capture this youth. Before Elder Jean could come up, Yi Mo pulled up the flag beside the stage and said to Yuan Chong, I'm the husband of the girl you beat then, and today you attacked my wife Xiaoyun as well. Consider this me letting you die a knowing death. What? Yuan Chong's face was destroyed already, but the shock in his eyes was still visible at Yi Mo's words. He just told his master that it had been a few years, and it didn't matter anymore, but now the girl's husband had appeared. But he soon reacted. This was the hidden sect's biggest tournament ground, and his master was in front of him. His master wouldn't let him suffer. He laughed out loud. You're about to die, yet you're still saying bullsh asterisk T. If you're smart, give me your woman, and perhaps I might beg my master to let you live. Oh, really? Yi Mo glanced coldly at that Elder Jean who just came on stage, and suddenly kicked Yuan Chong heavily in the chest. Yuan Chong suddenly felt himself flying. 20 meters from the stage stood a bell tower. It was a 10-meter-tall huge rock, and at the top it had a bell. This bell was for the tournament. Yi Mo kicked Yuan Chong into the bell tower and turned the flagpole from beside the stage into 5 segments before throwing them after Yuan Chong. Dong, 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 the bell shook. In front of everyone's eyes, on the rock was nailed a man. It was Yuan Chong who had just been kicked out. 4 segments had nailed Yuan Chong's ligaments, while the last piece had nailed his throat. The scene turned silent. Everything had happened too fast. Everyone knew all hell was about to break loose now. Yuan Chong had been killed in front of vice sect leader Chi in public. Everyone knew that Yuan Chong was actually vice sect leader Chi's illegitimate child. That, coupled with his excellent talent, he had a very important position in vice sect leader Chi's heart. Such a person was nailed and killed in such an insulting manner. How could Tai let this go? It's over. Elder Jean looked at Yuan Chong, and his hands and feet went cold as he had the biggest responsibility. You're asking to die. An absolutely furious voice sounded as a skinny old man flew onto the stage like a big bird coming for its prey. Chapter 744. Surrounded, Chapter 744. Surrounded looking at Vice Sect Leader Chi, everyone jumped up in excitement. Wasn't he practically flying? He was really flying. With him being able to fly over such a long distance, one could see that Vice Sect Leader Chi was very powerful. Every step of progress was very hard to make at the latter stages of ancient martial arts, and flying, or extensive gliding to be exact, could only be done at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage. If such a master attacked with fury, everyone could imagine what would happen to Yi Mo and Mu Xiaoyan. Yi Mo just sneered. He knew this couldn't be true flying because, first of all, there were air restrictions there. Even he couldn't fly. Vice Sect Leader Chi was at most gliding a bit. He was also going from high to low, so the distance he glided ended up being a bit reasonable. But this gliding was still even worse than Yi Mo's wind control. Meanwhile, Chi Kai was furious. He regretted not attacking immediately and causing Yuan Chong's death. His fury was at its peak. After gliding for a while, he landed on the stage and immediately calmed himself down. He knew this person was no ordinary person, and perhaps even quite scary. Without fighting, Chi Kai already knew his opponent was no weaker than him. Yuan Chong was unable to be brought back to life anymore, so what mattered most was how to kill this young man. Yi Mo didn't even look at Chi Kai. Although he was strong, Yi Mo knew he wasn't the strongest guy there. For instance, he was weaker than the three masters he saw at Hang Shui. Yi Mo thought that since he was attacking them there might be a round of carnage later on. He might even have to face many masters ganging up on him. He wasn't afraid of the Great Heaven Masters ganging up on him, but he was worried about Mu Xiaoyan. If Mu Xiaoyan wasn't there, he could slaughter all he wanted, but since Mu Xiaoyan was there, he needed to protect her, which would keep him from unleashing his full power. Yi Mo didn't know why Mu Xiaoyan was still stage 3 after cultivating for 4 years. With her talent, she should be at least stage 5, or even 6. Although Yi Mo really wanted to send Mu Xiaoyan away right now, he knew there were a few hidden powers lurking. If he moved, they would come stop him. One of them was the one who appeared in Hang Shui. Elder Jean saw Vice Sect Leader Chi come up himself, so he immediately stood on the side. He was worried that Yi Mo might try to suddenly run away. When Chi Kai got on the stage, he calmed down and didn't attack immediately. He stared at Yi Mo for a long time. Even if Mu Xiaoyan is your woman, you could have just taken her away. Why did you kill a Tai Sect core disciple? Chi Kai questioned coldly. Yi Mo looked up in shock. He thought this Vice Sect leader would attack him straight away, but the man had calmed down instead. Yi Mo was seeking revenge against Tai, so he wasn't going to have a polite chat with Chi Kai, but he still had to explain his purpose for killing. He suddenly raised the shield-shaped jade card and crushed it to powder. Chi Kai's face went green. Seeing Chi Kai still just looking coldly at him, Yi Mo felt that this Vice Sect leader Chi was quite collected. He pulled Mu Xiaoyan behind him and said coldly, "A few years ago, Yuan Chong and someone else went to the outside and almost killed a woman in Ninghai. He made that woman lose a year of her memory too." Hearing this, Chi Kai's face changed drastically as though he'd remembered something. Yi Mo kept talking coldly. "That woman happened to be my wife. At that moment I swore that no matter who it was that almost killed my wife, I would annihilate him in this lifetime." Chi Kai's face changed drastically, and he asked after a long time, "You made that necklace she had? She didn't die thanks to it." Yi Mo sneered. "Hearing you say that much, you must be the other person that went to Ninghai. This saves me quite some trouble. That necklace was a magic artifact I made, and if it wasn't for that, she would have long been dead indeed." Chi Kai took a deep breath. He wasn't that scared of Yi Mo at the start, but after knowing that Yi Mo made the necklace, he knew that he struck a hard enemy this time. He had been worrying about the person coming for revenge, and now he actually did. Chi Kai was a great heaven master, and the Vice Sect leader of a powerful sect. He knew a lot more secrets than most people. He knew that there was a way of cultivation countless times more powerful than ancient martial arts, but no one could cultivate it anymore. This person being so young, yet so powerful meant that he might quite possibly be someone who cultivates that mystical cultivation method. If he attacked someone like this, he had to make sure to kill him completely. If Yi Mo got away, the Tai sect would be done for. This wasn't even about revenge anymore. It was about the survival of the Tai sect. Chi Kai knew that he might not be able to keep Yi Mo there. He was afraid that Yi Mo would get away. If all of the Tai masters were there, and if the masters of a few more sects joined together, then they might be able to kill him. Meanwhile, Yi Mo just wanted to find a safe place to hide Mu Xiaoyun and start his carnage. Xiaoyun, let's go. Yi Mo didn't want to keep staying on the stage. Ha ha, you underestimate us hidden sects too much if you think you can come and go as you please. Another skinny old man landed on the stage. It's Kun Qian's Ling Wushui Qianbei. Someone immediately muttered quietly. As Yi Mo looked at this old man, he immediately knew that he was much stronger than Chi Kai. This guy was the one lurking in the shadows. He couldn't see his power before, but now, Yi Mo could tell that the old man was a great Heaven Peak master. I know now. The one who killed Elder Ming and Wei Wu at Hangshui City must have been him. It was one man and one woman, both very young. Who did it? It must have been them. The fat Elder Jean suddenly yelled. Ling Wushui heard this and looked at Yi Mo and Mu Xiaoyun before nodding. That seems to have been the case. They even put the blame on Forgery Hall. You're quite the character, aren't you? More and more masters started appearing on the stage, and the masters of the Forgery Hall and the Gemini Sword sect all rushed up. Chi Yoshin from the Gemini Sword sect glared at Yi Mo, wanting to eat him raw. His son had been killed, and only today did he find the culprit. Yi Mo said to Mu Xiaoyun, Xiaoyun, I'm about to start a carnage here, so stay behind me and never leave me too far. Mu Xiaoyun nodded. Yi Mo squeezed her hand and said, Xiaoyun, don't worry. I was trapped in a place these last few years where I cultivated for the entire 4 years, so don't worry. Then Yi Mo suddenly yelled, Yi Mo, have a feud with the Tai sect. I'm here today for revenge. All irrelevant people, please move aside. When I attack, everyone who hasn't moved away will be my enemy. After the battle, I will make sure to visit your sects one by one as well. Many people started retreating, not because they thought Yi Mo could win, but because they just had nothing to do with this. Ling Wushui laughed and said coldly, I want to see how you're going to visit our sections. I'm Qian Kuan Sect's great elder, Ling Wushui. Don't forget to visit after you die. By the way, there's not only Qian Kuan Sect here, but also Tai and Ci Hang Jing Mosque's great heaven masters are present. Ling Wushui's words aroused a fit of laughter. It was nothing but a pipe dream to think of running away from so many masters. Then there was a sharp laughter. Yi Mo, it's you indeed. I finally caught you today. Chapter 745. Instant Kill Great Heaven. Chapter 745. Instant Kill Great Heaven. Yi Mo looked at the person who now also flew onto the stage, and his eyes went cold. It could be said that other than the young ancient martial artist, this was the person he wanted to kill the most in the small world. So it's you, Jie Sun, you witch. I wanted to find you too. How great. I remember your chest having 2 big balls of white. Though, why are you restraining them now? Or did some old ancient martial artist do that? Yi Mo laughed. Little animal, you're asking to die. Jie Sun cursed every time. She thought about how Yi Mo ripped off the clothes on her chest and made her lose the most precious thing. Jie Sun was about to attack immediately, but then she suddenly seemed to remember something and stopped. There were so many people there, yet they were all just surrounding Yi Mo without attacking. If she went up first, perhaps it would end up benefiting someone else instead. Yi Emo thought it was a shame. If Jie Sun came up, he could kill her first, but alas, she was too cunning. Everyone looked at Jie Sun after Yi Emo said that. Jie Sun had a strange quirk. She hated men. She never gave any man any face, so she had the title of Heartless Nun. Everyone looked strangely at Jie Sun now, because her reaction meant that what Yi Emo said might have some truth to it. Many people started thinking, this Yi Emo fellow having seen Jie Sun's chest naked. Is there something between them? Jie Sun's face went pale with anger, but she still didn't go up. Even though there were so many people there, if they came up one by one, he wouldn't have to fear anyone. Even if they ganged up on him, he wouldn't care, but he would be worried about Mu Xiaoyan. This was why he hadn't attacked yet. Xiaoran, while we fight, we'll retreat at the same time. As long as we retreat as far as 15 kilometers, I will be able to take you up and fly, Yi Emo said. Just when Yi Emo was about to attack, a cold voice sounded. Martial Sister Jie Sun, why didn't you come back to the sect after going out for so long? And why has Luo Fei not come back from the outside? Yi Emo looked at the person talking. It was another nun. He thought that since Ci Hang Jin Mosque had one master he couldn't see through before and 4 other Great Heaven Masters, as well as many half-step Great Heaven Masters, if they were to leave, he would feel a lot less pressure. Jie Sun sneered. Martial Sister Jie Xian, I'm already Great Heaven. I stayed outside because of some business. As for the sect, I will go back after I'm done. Also, Martial Sister, you might not know, but those 3 Yi Emo heard this and knew Jie Sun wanted to spill the matter of the 3 pages of the Enai Luo Sutra. If she did, then these nuns would attack him like crazy. Thinking about this, Yi Emo yelled, Jie Sun, you wretched woman! You wouldn't even let go of the disciples in your own sect. You killed Luo Yin and forced Luo Fei to jump off a cliff. You animal! They knew that you were involved in some shady stuff, and now they've all been killed by you. Jie Sun, did you kill my disciples Luo Yin and Luo Xian? A pretty middle-aged nun heard this and glared. Then she pulled out her sword and attacked Jie Sun. Jie Sun cursed that Yi Emo for interrupting her. She blocked the sword with her horsetail whisk and pointed at Yi Emo. And you killed that Qi Yilin from Kuan-Qian, didn't you? Can you deny that? The 3 scrolls of the Enai Luo Sutra are also on you. Do you want to deny that too? Yi Emo had already retreated to the edge of the stage with Mu Xiaoyan, while out of his flying sword appeared countless sword rays, forming a barrier around them. At the same time, he shot out a bunch of fireballs as well. The warriors on the side of the stage were caught off guard. It all happened too quickly. But as soon as Yi Emo got off, 2 strong fist winds sealed his path. If it was just him alone, he could dodge it, but he was with Mu Xiaorun. Such powerful fist winds. Yi Emo knew that this wasn't the attacker's full power either. It was Ling Wushui and the ancient martial artist from Tai who just got there. The latter seemed to be even stronger than Ling Wushui. Yi Mo's flying sword quickly clashed with the fist winds. Bang! The force shattered even the nearby rocks. Yi Emo stood still on the spot, while the 2 Great Heaven Peak warriors took 2 steps back. So strong. Yi Emo sighed. These 2 were as strong as Qi-gathering peak cultivators. If it wasn't for his 3-birth chant, it would be impossible to stop them with a Qi-gathering stage 7 cultivation, but even now, he couldn't get the upper hand. It seemed it had been the right decision of him not to go to Tai as soon as he arrived. That would have been suicide. The difference between Great Heaven Primary Stage and Great Heaven Peak was this huge. It really shocked Yi Emo, but his 2 opponents were even more in shock. They had never thought that there would be someone able to block both of their attacks simultaneously, even slightly taking the upper hand. Moreover, this young man had someone he was protecting beside him. Although they hadn't attacked with their full power, they had still used at least 70%. The 2 looked at each other and nodded. Yi Emo saw excitement in their eyes. They were interested in what he cultivated. By this time, more people had reached them. At this moment, the nun, Jie Xian, ordered, "All disciples of C.I. Hengjin Mosque, listen, come back immediately. Our main task is to bring Jie Sun back. Martial Sister Jie Xian, we need you right now. Us 3 sects are allies. How can you—" That Tai sect old man immediately commented. Jie Xian answered plainly, "Our sect has a traitor, so we need to settle that first." The Tai old man was at a loss for words. "You killed my nephew Yulin, little animal. Die." A great heaven master suddenly jumped up and pierced his sword towards Yi Mo with intense killing intent. It was a sneak attack, and the sword ray was already above Yi Mo's head. Yi Mo sneered, however. He had no intention of even avoiding the attack. The flying sword in his hand vibrated upon being filled with his cultivation essence and turned it into a many-meter-long white beam which hacked towards his opponent's sword. A screeching sound appeared, after which a vibrant red colored the sky. A body that was split in half fell on the ground right after. Then blood rained down too. Ling Wushui's face was green. It had happened so fast that he couldn't even save a great heaven master of his own sect. Chapter 746. Who surrounds? Who kills? Chapter 746. Who surrounds? Who kills? Everyone took a deep breath at that moment. What power was this? Chi Yoshin had also wanted to ambush Yi Mo, but he shivered at the thought now. If he had gone up just then, it would be him laying on the ground now. This fellow was too strong. This person has gone crazy and is killing innocent members of our hidden sects. I, Ling Wushui, in the name of the Qiankuan sect, announced the highest killing order on Yi Mo. Every sect which helps us annihilate him will be seen as a friendly sect of ours and can get a great heaven pill. Ling Wushui was shaking with anger, but he knew he wouldn't be able to kill Yi Mo by himself. The Tai sect old man also proclaimed, I, Len Quan, in the name of the Tai sect, agree with Brother Ling. We still have countless masters coming for support as we speak, so no matter how strong this man is, he will die for sure. It is a matter of great importance for the hidden sects to hunt this man down. All those sects who leave and don't want to contribute to the hidden sects can prepare to suffer the consequences. The Tai old man was resorting to threats. Ha! A laugh of derision sounded, and an old woman flew over. Yi Mo recognized the woman. It was Grandma Feng from Ice Lake. She glanced at Yi Mo and nodded. I didn't think there would come a time when my sight failed me. Not only are you a high-level herbal doctor, but also a great Heaven Peak master. Elder Feng, your sect is also one of the hidden sections. This person is rampaging among the hidden sects. So, for the survival of the hidden sects, I hope you can help us kill him. After this, I can promise Ice Lake will reach the 2nd grade, Len Quan said. Elder Feng looked at Len Quan in contempt. Len, stop using wicked rhetorics to trick me. I feel disgusted. The reason why Ice Lake became a 3rd grade sect was all because of Tai in the first place. Elder Feng also looked at Ling Wushui and said, and your Kuan Qian sect, you're all the same. Schemes and shenanigans. Ice Lake will not join this hunt. What will you do about it? Mu Xiaoyun is our Ice Lake's disciple after all, but even if she weren't, I can still leave whenever I want. Len Quan's face looked bad, but Ling Wushui actually calmed down quickly and just looked at Elder Feng coldly. Elder Feng then turned and said to Yi Mo, I know that you're a master, and even someone like me can't tell how strong you are, but no matter how strong you are, you can't be sure you will be able to protect Mu Xiaoyun from this many masters. She's my disciple, so if you can trust me, let me take her, and then you can focus on these fellows. How about it? Elder Feng, you're crossing the line. Len Quan yelled, but Elder Feng turned around and said, How? Is there anything wrong in me taking away my sect's disciple? If you don't agree, fight me. All right, go on then, but I don't want you to intervene in this any more than this. Otherwise, humph, Ling Wushui harumphed. He knew clearly that even with Mu Xiaoyan there, it would at most make Yemo a little concerned. On the other hand, if Mu Xiaoyan was killed, Elder Feng would be on Yemo's side instead. Elder Feng seemed to have known it would be this way already, so she had turned to Yemo and was waiting for his reply. Yemo frowned. It would indeed be the best decision to give Mu Xiaoyan to a master like this woman, but Yemo felt like the old woman wasn't simple. She wasn't just saving Mu Xiaoyan because she was an Ice Lake disciple. This was just Yemo's subconscious feeling, though. But if he didn't give Mu Xiaoyan to her, Mu Xiaoyan would be in a tougher situation. Husband, I will go with Elder Feng. After you're done here, you can come find me, and if you don't make it back, I will accompany you. Mu Xiaoyan said. Yemo sighed. Okay, Xiaoyan, leave with Elder Feng. But don't worry, I will definitely come back to find you in Ice Lake. These people are no threat to me, so you just need to wait for me. Yemo suddenly took out an aromatic pill and gave it to Elder Feng. Elder Feng, this is a top-grade medical pill which I made using many precious herbs. It can cure your wound. This is my thanks for taking care of Xiaoyan. Elder Feng rejoiced and immediately ate it without even looking at it. The pill melted in her mouth within seconds, and she suddenly felt her wounds start to recover already. Yemo was a powerful herbal doctor indeed. What a good pill indeed. It's already melting in my mouth and doing my wounds very good. Many decade-old wounds were being cured right then and there. Elder Feng was overjoyed. Yemo smiled. You're caring for Xiaoyan well, so you deserve it. This pill is called the Knowing Will pill. Although it smells a bit bad, it's good for internal injuries. I found the herbs in Wu Mountain a few years ago. It can cure any internal injury, but it will take a day if you don't use your power to digest it. Mu Xiaoyan felt a bit strange about this. She knew that her husband had a pill called the Lotus Life pill that immediately removed all internal injuries. Xiaoyan, I've left some things with you. You need to cultivate it quickly, okay? Yemo had put the jade slip of the primordial fortune chant and a lot of pills in her ring already, and Mu Xiaoyan regretted not cultivating properly now. If she hadn't spent all her time waiting for her husband, perhaps she would be stage 5 already. Yemo nodded. Hold on, I'll make one more thing for you. Yemo took out some ores and some pills, and with a few spins, they became a bracelet. Yemo put it on her and said softly, This bracelet means that I'm always by your side. Don't take it off. And Mu Xiaoyan agreed obediently. Everyone saw Yemo casually create fire from nothing and make a bracelet in front of them and open their mouth wide, open in shock. Len Quan and Ling Wushui's eyes couldn't stop flickering either. Seeing Mu Xiaoyan and Elder Feng leave, Yemo then turned to Len Quan and Ling Wushui. All right, since you guys want to die, don't blame me. I will now turn this place into a bloodbath. Yemo then released his killing intent, and it almost materialized, making many people shiver subconsciously. Wait, All Heaven sect, leave. This thing has nothing to do with our All Heaven sect, a voice sounded, and the All Heaven sect disciples all left. Master, Yemo is also called Mo Ing, that friend of mine. Although I know I can't help him, I don't want our Shu Mountain Sword sect to attack him. As another voice sounded, Yemo saw Lulei and nodded. He didn't care if the Shu Mountain Sword sect left or not, but Lulei being just an inner sect member and still daring to say this meant that he was a loyal friend indeed. Many sects actually wanted nothing more than an excuse to leave. So now that Lulei said this, the Shu Mountain Sword sect's elder immediately announced that they would be leaving as well. Many other sects started to leave too. Seeing more and more people leave, Len Quan roared in rage, "Kill him together. Now." Then Ling Wushui and him both charged ahead. Chi Kai also charged along. The remaining people under the Tai, Kuan Qian, and Gemini Sword sect and of the forgery hall all charged towards Yemo. In that instant, countless projectiles, sword chi and fist chi, all came hurling towards Yemo. Chapter 747. First Wave of Battle. Chapter 747. First Wave of Battle. Yemo rejoiced that he had sent Mu Xiaoyan away. If she were still there, he would only be able to choose a direction in which to keep running and go, but with Len Quan and Ling Wushui, he wouldn't even be able to run that far. But, of course, Yemo didn't want to run. They wanted his life, so they had to pay with their own. Yemo's spirit sense had gotten so strong that under his control, his flying sword could fly all over the place like there was no one there. While it did, he took out another 2-meter-long sword and dashed into the crowd. Many people were dazed. They didn't know where the long sword in Yemo's hand appeared from. Despite Yemo's strong spirit sense and his cultivating essence-filled sword, swooping away all the weapons targeting him, there were still 1 or 2 that hit him, but Yemo did more damage. He knew that it would be impossible to kill Len Quan and Ling Wushui in a short time, so he could only kill the rest while avoiding Ling Wushui and Len Quan. With blood being shed and sword rays clashing, a few half-step Great Heaven cultivators' heads were sliced off by Yemo's long sword and smashed into the ground. Soon, more than 30 ancient martial artists lay dead on the ground, while Yemo had also incurred a few wounds. Len Quan and Ling Wushui realized that this battle wasn't going well for either side, so they immediately blocked Yemo, stopping his sword from ravaging all those below Great Heaven. With their help, the situation soon finally stabilized. Len Quan, Ling Wushui, Chi Kai, and another 16 Great Heaven Masters surrounded Yemo, thus taking up all of his attention. Meanwhile, half-step Great Heaven cultivators tried to sneak attack from the side. The Earth levels had almost been slaughtered completely in that short while, so the remaining ones just retreated and sealed Yemo's escape route. Yemo sneered. So what if they did? He still had his flying sword. Kill! Len Quan roared and hacked down with his axe. Before Yemo's long sword could swoop up to counter it, Ling Wushui used the perfect opportunity to pierce down his sword as well. Yemo sighed. How lucky these 2 didn't have spirit sense. If they did, then he wouldn't be able to survive that easily. These 2 men's real fighting power was the same as any Qi-gathering stage 9 cultivators, except for them not being able to use Dao magic and spirit sense. Yemo also knew that compared to the random attacks from before, this level-headed and planned way of attacking meant that he would be put under even greater pressure. Chi Kai yelled, "Sect Leader Chi, Elder Jean, attack with me." He knew that after the first wave of attacks, Yemo had lost his momentum. He would lead the second wave to attack, and if the rest could understand Len Quan's intentions, there would be a third wave and a fourth wave too. Yemo had gotten injured already, but those were just superficial wounds. Now, however, he knew he would have to pay a bigger price. With his opponents forming this battle plan, no matter how strong his cultivation essence was, he wouldn't be able to last too long. Thinking about this, a curved sword suddenly appeared in Yemo's hand, and he threw it out immediately. Meanwhile, his long sword blocked Ling Wushui's piercing attack, which was the most threatening attack. Clank, the curved sword managed to block Len Quan's axe, and Len Quan was shook. This was the second time something had appeared in Yemo's hands out of nowhere. The moment Yemo's long sword clashed with Ling Wushui's sword, his hand shook a little. He was made to realize that this Ling Wushui's inner chi was very powerful. What shook him even more was that the curved sword he threw out was shattered by the axe. He had made that curved sword when he was bored, and it was a far cry from his flying sword, but that was still a magic artifact. Yemo didn't have time to think much on it, though. He knew that now was the time to focus on killing. His spirit sense swooped his flying sword along, and it sliced at the backs of many half-step Great Heaven attackers. At the same time, he pulled his long sword back and then swung it towards Chi Kai. Ling Wushui applauded Yi Mo's reaction speed and measures, but seeing Yi Mo pull his sword away to attack Chi Kai, he was shook. Was Yi Mo asking to die? Thinking about this, Ling Wushui rejoiced and pierced with his sword again. Yi Mo wasn't asking to die, of course. The moment he hacked down on Chi Kai, he moved his flying sword and threw out more than 10 fireballs at the same time. Although his spirit sense would deplete quickly that way, Yi Mo couldn't care about it that much anymore. Crack! Chi Kai's sword broke, scaring him soulless. He wanted to retreat immediately, but a sword ray had already arrived at his forehead. So strong! This is his real power. Chi Kai's heart trembled as his mind fell into darkness. But Yi Mo didn't stop. He spun around and sliced out through Chi Kai's stomach towards Chi Yoshin, cutting him in half at the waist. Splurge at the same time, Ling Wushui's sword pierced into Yi Mo's ribs. Yi Mo didn't seem to know that he was injured, and his sword flew out of his hand. Arg! Howls of pain sounded, and the great heaven and half-step great heaven warriors that had been forced to huddle together by the fireballs were sliced into piles of meat. Then Yi Mo waved his hand, and his flying sword came back into his hand. At the same time, he took a bunch of pills all at once. He didn't need to use his flying sword and long sword at the same time anymore. That tactic could only work once anyway. The rest of the people looked at Yi Mo in shock, not believing what had just happened. In that short span of time, only 11 out of the 16 great heaven masters attacking him remained. The 20 or so half-step great heavens were all dead. Yi Mo, on the other hand, had only paid the price of a sword cut on his rib. One great heaven cultivator could no longer bear the massacre and bloody scene, and ran away. Yi Mo sneered, and a curved sword suddenly appeared in his hand again. It howled in the wind and pierced into that great heaven master's back. He still hadn't used his wind blades yet, but it wouldn't be useful to use them yet. If he used them suddenly instead, they would be a good surprise card. That great heaven master, meanwhile, didn't die immediately. He was trembling on the ground as though in extreme fear. Yi Mo felt fatigue. He had used too much of his spirit sense and cultivation essence. It was lucky that he had the extreme essence pill to supply his energy. Len Quan's face was green, and there was a sliver of fear in his eyes. He saw that Yi Mo wasn't heavily injured, so he chose not to attack anymore. I didn't think you were this strong, but I did know that you weren't cultivating ancient martial arts. Len Quan said this to imply that he was cultivating something stronger than ancient martial arts and tried to make everyone feel greedy for it. Len Quan needed time to boost morale now, while Yi Mo was happy because he also needed time to rest. Chapter 748. Kill them all. Chapter 748. Kill them all, everyone, he's injured now. Don't forget, he's a high-level herbal doctor. And he clearly also has a secret method that allows him to make things appear out of thin air, and even knows how to form inner chi fire. If we kill him, that will all become ours. I, Len Quan, swear that everyone will get a copy of his cultivation method, and everyone will get an equal share of his pills, Len Quan said. His words made those few great heaven masters who wanted to retreat reaffirm their desire to kill Yi Mo. Ling Wushui didn't join in on the speech, because he feared Yi Mo more than Len Quan. He was the only one who realized how cunning Yi Mo really was. Yi Mo had set up everything right from the start. He was very calculating. His series of actions meant that he had accurately predicted what his opponent's reactions would be, which not only required an astute mind, but also a great deal of fighting experience. If they kept fighting him, they would lose for sure. Yi Mo might have a lot of secrets, but his injuries were far less than what the rest thought. Yi Mo looked coldly at the remaining great heaven masters, but didn't fear them at all. He was actually very curious. The news he'd gotten before was that there weren't too many great heaven masters in the hidden sects, yet there were so many here. What confused Emo the most was that the difference in power between these different great heaven masters was so huge. A few great heaven masters' power was merely the same as Tan Zhao's, whom he had faced in Beijing. He remembered that Rin Pingchuan told him that a real great heaven cultivation meant the formation of a Qi Si, and not just the breaking through of the Run and Du meridians. Those who couldn't form a Qi Si were fake great heavens. This method could only improve their power, but not their longevity. Those who truly reached great heaven would get a 60-year increase in longevity. If what Rin Pingchuan said was true, then there were, at most, only a few true great heaven masters here. Luo Xian had said that Ci Hangjing Mosque only had a mere few great heaven masters. Emo doubted that, but if only great heaven peak cultivators were considered great heaven, then Ci Hangjing Mosque really only had a couple. Emo didn't think Luo Xian would trick him, so there had to be a proper reason for her evaluation. No matter what, the remaining 10 people present were masters amongst masters. Even the worst was stronger than Rin Pingchuan. After this time, though, Emo had recovered some of his cultivation essence. Thankfully, they didn't know he had such powerful pills, and they were also scared after that last fight. In a moment, I will start the first wave of attack. Elder Hu and Sect Leader Lu, attack with me. Brother Ling, Sect Leader Wan, and Elder Zhang, please be the second wave of attack. The remaining people can be the third wave of attack with Elder Jean. Remember, our attacks must follow in rapid succession. There must not be any pauses in between. Len Chan was moving his lips and communicating telepathically. Emo sneered. He had already caught the content with his spirit sense. Hence, before they could start their attack, he sent out his flying sword. At the same time, Emo gifted Len Quan and Ling Wushui each with a few fireballs. His main target was Elder Jean, though, since he was supposed to be the third wave, he wouldn't attack before Len Quan and Ling Wushui. They wouldn't expect him to attack first, so it was best to sneak attack now. Emo's flying sword formed thousands of afterimages and flew towards Elder Jean and the remaining 3 masters, and he shot out 2 fireballs at Elder Jean too. You're asking to die. Len Quan realized that Emo seemed to know his plan, since he was attacking Elder Jean first, and was furious. While he chopped away the fireballs with his axe, he charged at Emo. Emo moved aside and dodged the axe, while he sent a punch towards the empty ground 3 meters to the left of Elder Jean. Ling Wushui's eyes narrowed. Why would Emo be willing to get injured instead of retreating just to send out this punch? He had a bad feeling, but he couldn't figure out why immediately. Slice Len Quan rejoiced at the sound of his axe breaking through Emo's clothes, but at the same time, he saw that his axe only managed to scratch Emo's skin before he moved to the side. Blood spewed out nonetheless, but it was quickly stopped by Emo's cultivation essence. At the same time, a shabby figure appeared in front of Emo. Elder Jean had dodged the 2 fireballs, but hadn't expected an inner chi fist to be waiting for him. The fist force passed through Elder Jean's chest. Elder Jean looked at his chest, and there he saw a big hole. At this moment, Emo's flying sword spun around and happened to block Ling Wushui's sword. Ling Wushui didn't understand how Emo was always able to predict where his sword would land. Ling Wushui felt more and more fear. He got the feeling that no matter what sword move he used or how fast he was, this young man would always be able to immediately figure out where his sword was. Clank. Ling Wushui's hand suddenly felt lighter, so he immediately retreated in shock. His sword had been sliced into pieces. Only Ling Wushui knew how hard his sword was, yet it was still shattered. Emo went on to ignore Ling Wushui and waved his hand in the air. Invisible wind blades then surrounded the 3 warriors who had gotten injured by the flying sword. Splurge, the sound of a sword cutting into flesh appeared. No one saw where the sword was, but the 3 great heaven masters who were to attack together with Elder Jean were all gutted. Invisible sword chi. Ling Wushui and Len Quan shivered. Just how many more cards did this fellow have? After another round of attacks had passed, they had lost 4 people again. Only 6 people remained, while all Yi Mo had paid for it was a faint wound on his chest. Len Quan's face looked bad, and he finally understood why Yi Mo had been willing to take his axe. Ling Wushui's face was also pale. This was the second time he had been thoroughly seen out-calculated by this young man. Just how many fights had he been through to have such experience and calculations? Although everyone here was older than Yi Mo, Ling Wushui felt that their combined experience didn't match Yi Mo's. Yi Mo ate a few more pills. He looked very calm, but he knew that although they had less and less people, victory would not necessarily be his. His cultivation essence was depleting rapidly, so in the next wave of attacks, he had to kill either Ling Wushui or Len Quan, or he wouldn't be able to last long enough to see this through. His wounds weren't serious, but he wouldn't have enough cultivation essence. Yi Mo, I know you're strong, but even if you kill all of us here, you're no match for the 3 big sections. My power is at most second best in the Kun Qian sect. Therefore, I would like all of us to stop here and pretend like nothing ever happened. Ling Wushui thought that if they continued fighting, they might really all die. Len Quan looked at Ling Wushui in shock. The other 2 great heaven masters saw this and couldn't hold on anymore, so they retreated quickly. The earth levels saw that even the great heaven masters were retreating, and so they ran away too. Yi Mo sneered and jumped up. He ignored Len Quan and company and shot tens of fireballs and wind blades at the men who were trying to run away. Since they came, they wouldn't get to leave. 2 more great heaven masters and more than 10 earth levels were killed, just like that, leaving behind nothing but mutilated and burned corpses. Len Quan and company all took a cold breath. This young man was too cruel. They weren't even allowed to run away. He wanted to massacre them completely. Chapter 749. Ground full of great heaven bodies. Chapter 749. Ground full of great heaven bodies, the magical continent mountain that should be bustling right now was instead completely quiet, and it was a silent and deathly atmosphere which filled the air. Yi Mo turned around and looked at the remaining 4 great heaven masters. His face was the epitome of coldness and indifference, while blood was dripping from his body. Everyone now knew that the young man in front of them wanted to massacre them completely. They had witnessed the fate of those who ran away, so no one dared to run anymore. I originally only wanted to kill that Yuan Chong and Chi Kai, but since you guys wanted my life, pay for it with your own. After Yi Mo said this, his flying sword turned into a sword ray and charged straight at Len Quan. He was set on killing Len Quan this time. But the next scene took everyone by surprise. Even Len Quan and Ling Wushui didn't expect they would both take the same action, but Len Quan and Ling Wushui both grabbed the great heaven master next to them at almost the same time and threw them at Yi Mo while retreating. They both wanted to run, and both did so in the same way. The other 2 great heaven cultivators didn't expect masters like Len Quan and Ling Wushui to do this, so without being able to put up any resistance, they were thrown onto Yi Mo's flying sword. Blood splurged as the flying sword cut through them at their waist. Yi Mo didn't care about Ling Wushui, and just controlled his flying sword to stop Len Quan. Len Quan cursed at Yi Mo coming for him first, but facing the flying sword, he could only watch as Ling Wushui got away while he had to stay, and even try to stop Yi Mo to his benefit. Meanwhile, Yi Mo knew clearly how his condition was. His injuries weren't serious, but they weren't light either. The main thing was that his cultivation essence was heavily depleted even with all the pills he ate. Even if he didn't want Ling Wushui to leave, he couldn't stop him anymore. In fact, if Ling Wushui had stayed and helped this Tai sect old man fight him to the death, the result of that would really be hard to predict. Little bastard, I'll fight you to death. Len Quan gathered all his inner chi and hacked at Yi-Mo with his axe. This axe contained almost all of his inner chi. Yi-Mo sneered. This cultivator had probably started cultivating only halfway through his life because he used a pretty unorthodox weapon. Yi-Mo also channeled his cultivation essence into his flying sword and clashed with the axe again, but it didn't leave any marks. Thud! Yi-Mo was forced many meters back by the huge power of the axe and spat a mouth of blood for the first time in the battle. Len Quan was surprised at the sight. So many people had been attacking Yi-Mo, and he hadn't spat blood, yet he simply used his full power and attacked him once, and Yi-Mo spat blood. This was very strange. But when Len Quan thought about it, he immediately understood. Yi-Mo was strong, yes, but he was at the end of his means by now. Len Quan laughed hysterically. He wasn't laughing because he was certain he could take out Yi-Mo. He was laughing at the fact that the remaining 6 of them didn't work together. If they had, perhaps Yi-Mo would be long dead already. But they only cared about running away, which eventually just benefited Yi-Mo. Even if it was only Ling Wushui and him left, they might be able to take Yi-Mo out. But now it was all too late. Ling Wushui had run away, and he was by himself. He couldn't take on Yi-Mo alone. Yi-Mo ate another Lotus Life pill and didn't intend to retreat at all when Len Quan charged at him. He knew what Len Quan was thinking just by looking at how he was charging at him like a madman. Flying sword and huge axe clashed again, and he took a few steps back. He knew that he had the lower hand in terms of chi right now, so before Len Quan could continue attacking, he conjured countless wind blades and spat out some essence blood to shoot out tens of fireballs. He needed to finish the fight as fast as possible. He was worried about Mu Xiaoyun and the current state of his body. Len Quan spun his axe around like a windmill, creating a strong chi swirl that broke apart Yi-Mo's wind blades and fireballs. Yi-Mo ate the last essence chi pill he had and sent out even more fireballs and wind blades. Len Quan was furious about the way Yi-Mo was fighting, but he couldn't get out of the wind blade and fireball barrage. Len Quan knew that if this continued, he would die for sure. Cruelty showed in his eyes as his chi sea expanded. The inner chi swirling around him intensified, rendering Yi-Mo's wind blades and fireballs unable to get close to Len Quan. Yi-Mo couldn't help but rejoice that his battle plan from before had been correct. He had avoided Len Quan and Ling Wushui, making the two fear him and lose the will to fight. If they hadn't run and had instead stayed to fight him to the death, he would have been in real danger. Len Quan quickly jumped many meters into the air after slashing away the magic skills and hacked down towards Yi-Mo's head. He was really at his limits now and had almost no power left. Yi-Mo was shook. He didn't think Len Quan would still have such a powerful attack left, but from the wounds he had, Yi-Mo could tell that he had also paid a price to get out of his wind blade barrage. Yi-Mo caught the axe with his flying sword and gathered all the cultivation essence he had before punching it towards Len Quan. Yi-Mo thought that if Len Quan dodged and he used his wind blades to hurt him again right after, he should be able to take Len Quan's life as soon as his flying sword was free. But Yi-Mo was obviously overestimating Len Quan. Len Quan had used up all the inner chi he had. He couldn't dodge the attack at all, and he had to use inner chi to glide in midair. Thud! The fist wind struck Len Quan's chest head-on. Flesh flew all over the place as Len Quan's body was turned into a bloody mist. Yunzi was very fast, yet even before she arrived at the mountain, she already saw people running away everywhere. When she stopped someone and asked them what was going on, she found out that the big sects were ganging up on Yi-Mo and that they were having a heaven-shaking battle. Yunzi knew that Yi-Mo was strong, but she also knew what sort of place Magical Continent Mountain was, and how many masters would be there now. But she wasn't too worried about Yi-Mo, as she knew he could fly. If he couldn't beat them, he could just fly away. When Yunzi got to the peak, though, she was shocked by the scene. There were bloody bodies everywhere, and the fight seemed to be still going on. Yi-mo didn't run away? This was her first thought, but as she walked a bit further, she just happened to see the scene where Yi-mo beat Len Quan into a bloody mist. Yunzi was shocked. She knew Len Quan's power all too well. Even though her father was at the great heaven peak, even he might not be able to beat Len Quan. Yet such a powerful person was beaten into a bloody mist by Yi-mo, and when she looked a bit further, she was stunned by the countless great heaven bodies lying there. She knew many of the faces. Chi Kai, Elder Jean, the sect leaders of the Forgery Hall, and Gemini Sword, sect, etc. Those dead on the ground were all either Grand Elders or sect leaders. All these renowned people had become mere bodies, and some didn't even have a body left. Great heaven masters. Any one of them could dominate the world. Yet here she saw their bodies piled up. Chapter 750. Magical Passage. Chapter 750. Magical Passage. Yunzi shivered and subconsciously looked at Yi-mo with fearful eyes. Yi-mo was motionlessly standing amongst the bloody bodies with his sword in hand. There was blood all over his body, some of it even dripping down from his hair. He was this powerful, even when so many great heaven masters tried to kill him. He killed them all instead. Yunzi felt like Yi-mo was a slaughter god, a war god, like he could do anything. Meanwhile, Yi-mo's cultivation essence was all used up, and his spirit sense was heavily depleted. The reason why he was standing still was to gather some cultivation essence. He saw Yunzi as soon as she came up, but just hadn't moved. Once he recovered some cultivation essence, he looked at her and said, "Come over, Brother Yi." Yunzi quickly went over. Life was like this. Although she hadn't voiced it before, she had shared Xiaoling's perspective too. They thought that Mo-ing was the dung that the flower, which was Mu Xiaoyan, was planted in. But now she understood just how good Mu Xiaoyan's eyes were. She had actually found someone so absurdly powerful, like Yi-mo, take me to Ice Lake now. Yi-mo believed that by the time he got to Ice Lake, his cultivation essence would be recovered enough. He told Yunzi to take him there, because he would be able to use the time on the cart to recover his essence. Yunzi was dazed for a moment, but then immediately understood. She rejoiced and nodded. "Yes, Brother Yi, I'll take you there now." Then Yunzi took out the pill Yi-mo had given her and said, "Brother Yi, I don't need this pill." Yi-mo looked strangely at her and said, "Your internal injuries are not light. If you don't eat this, you might get worse or even lose your power." Yunzi looked dejected and said, "Brother Yi, you promised that you owed me, so I want you to do something else for me." Yi-mo waved his hand. Although Yunzi was pretty, he didn't like her little calculations. "Just eat the pill. As long as you take me to Ice Lake, I'll help you do another thing after I'm done there," Yi-mo said plainly. "Yes, Brother Yi?" Yunzi was smart enough and didn't mention the pill anymore. Yi-mo picked up Len Quan's axe. He felt it was very extraordinary. His flying sword had had his cultivation essence attached to it, yet had still been unable to do anything to this axe. Yi-mo didn't have the time to look at it now, though, so he just threw it inside his ring and went inside Yunzi's cart. Yunzi saw with her own eyes how Yi-mo turned a huge axe into nothing and was shaken even more. She became more fearful of Yi-mo and wondered if she should have called Yi-mo Qianbei. She quickly cast those thoughts aside, and when they got to the bottom of the mountain, she told that half-step great heaven man and Xiaoling to wait for her at Chan City while she manned the horse and took Yi-mo to Ice Lake. Yi-mo didn't know why Yunzi did this, but he didn't care. "Grandma, thank you." Mu Xiaoyan was very grateful to Elder Feng while sitting on the cart to Ice Lake. If it wasn't for Elder Feng, she would be dead weight to her husband. If she caused her husband's death, she would never be able to forgive herself. Elder Feng smiled. "Xiaoyan, you'll always be an Ice Lake disciple in my heart." Although I agreed to send you to Tai after the tournament, I was just tricking them. Now that your husband is back, I can rest easy. I treat all Ice Lake disciples the same. Inside the cart, when Fei Qin and Qi Shuo heard this, they looked very grateful too. Ji Yilan immediately said, "Yes, Xiaoyan, don't worry. With Grandma here, Ice Lake will be fine, and so will you." Elder Feng's cart was very quick, but after 2 hours, Mu Xiaoyan noticed that the direction it was headed to was an ice lake. Just when Mu Xiaoyan wanted to ask something, Elder Feng took the cart into a hidden valley. Coincidentally, at this moment, an ordinary warrior saw the ice lake cart and quickly hid on the side. He only got up after the cart was completely in the valley and patted his chest. "I should leave if I happen to see some of the hidden sex matters. I'll be dead for sure." "Grandma, is this another post of Ice Lake?" Ji Yilan asked in Mu Xiaoyan's stead. Elder Feng nodded and made the cart go faster. "Auntie Miao and Elder Luo don't seem to be here," Fei Qin said. Elder Feng didn't speak, but Ji Yilan explained, "Grandma is probably worried about Xiaoyan, so she took us here first. Auntie Miao and company should be fine. Who knows if someone will try to do something to Xiaoyan once we get back to Ice Lake." Hearing this, everyone immediately understood. After another hour passed, the cart left the valley and came to a rather flat, open area. "Grandma, how come I've never seen this place before? It really is very well hidden." Everyone got off while Ji Yilan gave a comment. "Well, you'll know everything later. We need a few more posts in order for Ice Lake to grow bigger." Elder Feng then took out 5 white stones and looked at a direction before throwing them out. The stones landed in 5 different spots. Mu Xiaoyan was shook. These stones were spirit stones. "Grandma had this many? Grandma, did you just throw chi stones?" Ji Yilan recognized the stones and exclaimed. She knew how precious they were. Even if Ice Lake gathered all their wealth, they might not be able to buy one, yet Grandma just threw 5. Elder Feng didn't reply, but the plain mountain wall suddenly opened, revealed a passage. Ji Yilan and the others were shocked. Elder Feng said plainly, "This tunnel will only be open for a short time. Everyone get on the cart quickly, we'll be going in." No one knew why the elder had hidden this place at such a huge cost, but they simply followed. As soon as they went inside, the tunnel quickly closed. On the outside, it had gone back to nothing but a mountainside again. This was too magical. Elder Feng didn't talk as she led the 4 into a stone room. To everyone's surprise, there was a clean room inside. It was a round-shaped room. There was nothing in there except for 5 odd-looking sinks near the wall. There were many strange markings on the ground, too, which seemed alive at first, but upon further investigation, they just seemed like ordinary markings. Chapter 751. Knowing Will. Chapter 751. Knowing Will Elder, do you come here often? Ji Yilan was surprised at how clean the stone room was. Elder Feng walked to a wooden chair and sat down before shaking her head. "No, this is the second time I'm here because every time one wants to enter this place, 5 chi stones need to be used up. It took me more than a decade to gather these 5. This stone room contains a big secret. I was planning on helping you become a 2nd-grade hidden sect first, and then leave Ice Lake to investigate this room. But due to Xiaoyan, I could only come earlier. A pity about my chi stones." Mu Xiaoyan frowned. She felt Elder Feng's words were strange. Seeing Ji Yilan's confusion, Elder Feng ignored her and said to Mu Xiaoyan, "Xiaoyan, I know your husband is no ordinary person, and the cultivation method he is learning is probably not an ancient martial art, right? I trust that your husband must have taught you the cultivation method. And so, on account of you also being an Ice Lake disciple at the end of the day, having received benefits from Ice Lake, please show us your cultivation method. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you." Mu Xiaoyan heard this and immediately understood. This Elder Feng wanted her cultivation method, and that was why she had taken her away. It wasn't because she was an Ice Lake disciple or anything. After understanding this, Mu Xiaoyun's good impression of Elder Feng was immediately gone. Grandma, you? Ji Yilan looked at Elder Feng in disbelief. She didn't expect her grandma to have been planning like that. Elder Feng waved her hand to stop Ji Yilan from talking. Yilan, you don't know what Yimo's cultivation method means to Ice Lake, and what it means to me. According to legends, a long time ago, people didn't cultivate ancient martial arts on magical continent, but something that can allow you to fly, control the weather, and even attain long life. But after countless years, only ancient martial arts remained. And ancient martial arts then even reached a bottleneck. We can't surpass great heaven. Then Elder Feng said to Mu Xiaoyan, Xiaoyan, I've been watching you for a long time. In the 4 years you stayed at Ice Lake, you haven't actually cultivated for more than a year, and what you're cultivating isn't the Star Rain cultivation method. Yet you progressed so fast that I didn't dare believe it. I didn't understand why, but after seeing your husband today, I guessed that you never cultivated in the Star Rain cultivation method from the beginning. You used something else to imitate the Star Rain cultivation method, right? Ji Yilan looked at Mu Xiaoyan in shock. She had reached the black level peak with only 1 year? This was too shocking. Mu Xiaoyan's tone was a little cold as she replied. Indeed, I haven't cultivated the Star Rain cultivation method, but have been cultivating what my husband gave me. However, without his permission, I would never give it to anyone. Although her tone was plain, the adamant will behind it was obvious. Elder Feng showed immense joy upon confirming that her conjecture was right. There was a sliver of madness in that joy. Of course, how could a young man in his 20s easily slaughter great heaven masters otherwise? So that was it. Ha ha ha. Xiaoyun, if it wasn't for what you cultivate, I wouldn't be rude to you like this because I'm truly grateful to you and your husband. He cured my internal injuries after all. But now, I must get the cultivation method, no matter what. The glint in Elder Feng's eyes became scarier, and she was about to get up and attack Mu Xiaoyan. Grandma, how can you? Xiaoyan is our Ice Lake's disciple. She's my martial sister. Ji Yilan acted as though she didn't know this Grandma Feng. She would have never thought that the grandma-like figure she knew could show such behavior. Yilan, move aside. You will understand later that what I did today was right. No one can stop my will, because you can't possibly imagine what that sort of cultivation method means. Elder Feng's face became scary, and she pushed Ji Yilan aside. Mu Xiaoyan took a few steps back and suddenly gave Elder Feng 6 spirit stones. Elder Feng, I know you need chi stones. I have 6 here. They're all yours. I just want to see my husband, and I think my husband will agree to your request. Mu Xiaoyan did this because she knew that if Elder Feng got her cultivation method, she would kill her for sure. She didn't care about her life that much, but she didn't want to leave her husband behind. When Mu Xiaoyan subconsciously took out the spirit stones like that, Elder Feng was dumbfounded. Her body started shaking with excitement, and she threw the chi stones to the ground. She said shakily to Mu Xiaoyan, You have the storage ring? The legendary spatial ring. Such things really exist. Ha, it's all real. Mu Xiaoyan was dazed. She was just trying to stall for some time, yet her action made Elder Feng only more crazy. Looking at Elder Feng's hysteric state, Ji Yilan came up again with tears and stood in front of her. Grandma, Xiaoyan is an Ice Lake disciple. If you need her cultivation method, you can ask it from her husband, Grandma, P*SS off. Elder Feng had completely gone mad and slapped Ji Yilan away. Only she knew that she wasn't mad at all. She was just shaking in excitement. With the magical ring and this cultivation method, perhaps she could become the #1 cultivator of the magical continent. The Tai and Kuan Qian trash would never know why she had taken Mu Xiaoyan away, but if they did, wouldn't they jump off a cliff in regret? Elder Feng slapped out towards Mu Xiaoyan. She was going to knock her out first and take her spatial ring. Perhaps the cultivation method was in there, but before her palm reached Mu Xiaoyun, a faint light barrier shot out from Mu Xiaoyun's wrist. Chapter 752. Xiaoyun gone missing. Chapter 752. Xiaoyun gone missing. By the time Yi Mo woke up again, all his cultivation essence had recovered. His spirit sense had also recovered completely, and even improved a little bit. With a few cleansing spells, all the blood from Yi Mo disappeared. "Brother Yi, we have arrived at Ice Lake," Yunzi's voice sounded. After Yi Mo had entered the cart, he hadn't made a sound for a whole day and night, but Yunzi didn't dare wake him up before they arrived at Ice Lake. "Okay," Yi Mo answered, and dashed through the Ice Lake sex entrance like the wind and disappeared. "Who goes there? Stop." Someone immediately stopped Yi Mo at the door to the core hall of Ice Lake. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense out, and his face changed. Mu Xiaoyun wasn't there. He didn't see Elder Feng either. 3 figures quickly appeared before Yi Mo. Yi Mo knew 2 of them, while the other one seemed to be an elder. "Mo, Mr. Yi?" Miao Lian's expression was complicated. Yi Mo nodded and asked, "Where's Xiaoyun?" "She came back with Elder Feng. Where is she?" Miao Lian quickly said, "Grandma hasn't returned. The 4 disciples who went with her haven't returned either." Yi Mo frowned, and his tone turned cold. "I left later than them, yet have arrived already. She left before me. How could she not be back?" Before Miao Lian could reply, the elder behind her sneered. "Who do you think you are? Does Elder Feng need to report to you when she comes back?" Yi Mo replied plainly, "I just want to ask where my wife Xiaoyun is. I don't care about other people." "Mu Xiaoyun? She's just a mere disciple of Ice Lake. Even if you are someone important to her, what right do you have to be asking questions here? P***SS off. This isn't a place you can come as you please." This elder didn't seem to like Yi Mo, and was even about to attack him. Miao Lian was worried. This elder had only just come and didn't know about the events of Magical Continent Mountain yet. Since Yi Mo was here, it meant that he had won the battle. She quickly stopped the elder and said, "Elder, who we can talk it out, Yi Mo's tone went cold. "I'll ask one more time, where is Mu Xiaoyun? Where is Elder Feng?" This elder who woman sneered again. "In what way do you have the right to ask where Elder Feng is? You're just an insect. I've always despised that Mu Xiaoyun. She receives such large amounts of our sex resources, and all she does is stand on that ice lake gazing into nothingness. Are you the little bastard that made her so horny? Since you're so cocky, I'll dash." She suddenly stopped talking as Yi Mo waved his hand, and a line of blood appeared on her neck. "You..." The elder pointed at Yi Mo in horror. This young man was so terrifyingly powerful, she didn't even know how he had attacked her. Miao Lian was dazed at the scene for a long while. An Earth-level elder was killed, just like that, without being able to put up any resistance. Meanwhile, Yi Mo's heart was burning with worry. How could he hold back his temper when this woman kept insulting Mu Xiaoyun? He now knew that his prediction had been right. That Elder Feng had been planning something, but he could only give Mu Xiaoyun to her then, because she would have been dead if she had stayed with him. He had made some preparations for Mu Xiaoyun, however. If Mu Xiaoyun's bracelet was broken, a mist would come out. Ordinary people would be fine smelling it, but those who had eaten the knowing will pill would have one ingredient in the pill neutralized, and the whole pill would become huge poison that corrodes the meridians. Yi Mo believed that if Elder Feng dared do something to Mu Xiaoyun, she would take his blow. If she did, the others wouldn't dare touch Mu Xiaoyun, because only he could remedy the poison. If Mu Xiaoyun died, Elder Feng would die too. But when Yi Mo came to Ice Lake, he couldn't pick up on Mu Xiaoyun with his spirit sense or sense the spirit sense mark he had left on the bracelet. That was why he was so worried. "Mr. Yi, Elder Feng truly never came back. Our cart was behind her cart, and we've been back for many days. Yet she still isn't back. We don't know where she went, another sect member said. He knew from Yimo's killing intent that it would be all too easy for him to slaughter all of Ice Lake. Yimo's heart sunk. He was scared of hearing this the most. Elder Fong not having come back to Ice Lake meant he had lost all leads. No, he had to find her. Yimo didn't want to waste his time at Ice Lake anymore, so he turned around to leave. But after a few steps, he turned back and said with a cold voice, I want everyone presently in Ice Lake to leave right now. Before I find Xiaoyan, you must not get near Ice Lake at all, or else death. Miao Lian and the other sect members shivered at the killing intent behind Yimo's words. The man shook his head and said to Miao Lian, our Ice Lake disciples should leave and go experience the world then. Secretary, you dash, Miao. Lian looked at the second-in-command in confusion. The secretary sighed. He vaguely knew why Elder Fong had disappeared, but if he told Yimo, this slaughter god, about it, he might kill everyone on the spot. The secretary believed that since Elder Fong had done this, that meant that she had abandoned everyone else at Ice Lake. She probably only took those 4 disciples so they could help Ji Ilan. But even he would be surprised to find out Elder Fong had abandoned even Ji Ilan. Yimo came back to the cart like a shooting star. Seeing that Yunzi was still there, he immediately nodded to her and said, tell me the path from Ice Lake to Magical Mountain. I have to go find Xiaoyan. Oh, and if you know where Tai and Kuan-Qian are, tell me too. Yunzi could tell Yimo hadn't found Mu Xiaoyan, who knew what would happen if he didn't find her. But she didn't ask much and simply gave Yimo a map. Yimo took the map and saw that the precise locations of all the big sects were marked on it. The route from Ice Lake to Magical Continent Mountain was also very clear. Thank you, I'm going. Wait for me at Chan City. I will help you do one thing after I'm done. Then, Yimo was about to leave. Wait, brother Yi. Yunzi suddenly called out. Yimo turned back and looked at her, and Yunzi quickly said, in the years you weren't here, Sister Xiaoyan would stand on this big rock waiting for you every day. As soon as she said this, Yimo instantly appeared on that big rock. And indeed, there were 2 faint footprints on it. Yimo felt the footprints and felt an endless longing for Mu Xiaoyan. No matter what, he would find her. He had the subtle feeling of certainty that Mu Xiaoyan was still alive. The next moment, Yimo got off the huge rock and soared into the sky on his flying sword. It was very far for ordinary people from Ice Lake to Magical Continent Mountain, but it took Yimo just 10 minutes to travel that distance. While he did, he searched around countless times but didn't find any spirit sense marks anywhere. Yimo gradually became more and more disappointed, and he found nothing in a whole day. Tai sect, Kuan-Qian sect. Yimo murmured their names word by word and flew towards the Tai sect first. Chapter 753. Tai sect annihilated. Chapter 753. Tai sect annihilated. Tai sect was a special grade sect, just like Kuan-Qian and C.I. Hangjing Mosque. However, Tai's power was much higher than Kuan-Qian sects. Although their foundation wasn't as strong as C.I. Hangjing Mosques, they weren't missing out too much. Tai sect's mountain was grandiose. It looked powerful and all-encompassing. Yet the words on the door seemed shabby. Although the words Tai sect were also large and looked powerful, Yimo could tell that these words didn't have the right to be on the door of such a mighty mountain. Yimo sent out his flying sword and sliced the words. The words were immediately pulverized, but the door wasn't affected at all. Yimo sent out his flying sword again and hacked at the door many times, but it had no effect. Yimo stopped trying. He realized that the door and the sign hadn't been made at the same time. Tai sect's people had just taken that place as their home. Just like the air restrictions on the Magical Continent Mountain, they had also been left there a long time ago. Who dares come to disturb and ruin our Tai Sex dash? Two black-level disciples with Tai Sex Dao uniform dashed outside when Yi Mo hacked down the words Tai Sect. But immediately they were torn into half by Yi Mo's wind blades. Their blood stained the stairs, and the people behind them subconsciously stopped. Yi Mo sneered. He had gone there to annihilate the sect. If it hadn't been for Tai's sect, would any of this have happened to Mu Xiaoyan? If it hadn't been for Tai's sect, would Qingxue have almost died? And now, because of Tai's sect, Yi Mo still hadn't found Xiaoyan. He was venting all his anger on Tai. He wouldn't listen to any explanation they had unless Xiaoyan suddenly appeared. Since the hidden sects people like to talk with their fists, he would do that today. He's Yi Mo, the Yi Mo who killed all the Earth level and above masters on the magical continent mountain, as well as our Grand Elder Len and Kuan Qian's elderling. A terrified voice sounded. As more people realized that that crazy young man was the Yi Mo who had slaughtered everyone on the magical continent mountain. There were that many great heaven masters, plenty of great heaven peak masters and halfway great heavens, and countless earth level masters. Yet, even with that many people fighting Yi Mo, none of them were able to escape. This had never happened in the history of the magical continent. However, Yi Mo knew that at least Ling Wushui had escaped. Yi Mo, will annihilate the Tai sect. All of those who stay in Tai will be killed. If you want to live, take off your Tai Dao uniform, spit on the ground, and trample on it. Only then can you leave. Yi Mo's voice sounded through the entire Tai sect. Yi Mo was adamant on annihilating Tai sect, but there were about 1,000 sect members. He didn't want to kill them all, so he gave them a chance to run away. Run. However, these 6 Tai sect members could only take a few steps before being sliced on the neck by a sword ray. Their heads were rolling on the ground. The remaining people who wanted to run took a breath in and stopped. A few smart ones remembered Yi Mo's words. They immediately took off their clothes, spat, and trampled on them a few times before running away from the mountain. These people didn't get killed, so they were able to escape. Following these disciples' actions, the rest of the Tai sect members reacted even faster. Some tried to suck up to Yi Mo and yelled, "Tai is trash," and some even peed on their clothes. Those few disciples who tried to run away without doing so were immediately decapitated. Yi Mo moved forward as he killed the resistance. His flying sword flew around, breaking buildings and causing a huge chaos. A few Earth-level and half-step Great Heaven Masters tried to come down and stop Yi Mo, but they didn't even last a round before they were killed. Yi Mo kept shooting fireballs, and the buildings started to burn. Most of Tai's power had been annihilated at the mountain, so there were only a few Great Heaven Masters left. The remaining ones were all below Earth level. Those who didn't want to run away were all killed. Stop, Dao friend. You're crossing the line. People need to know when to stop. You've already killed so many Tai sect disciples as well as Len Quan and Qi Kai disciples. Tai has been pretty much annihilated now. I think you should stop. The main palace does not belong to Tai. It has been passed down for generations since ancient times. Are you really going to destroy everything? An old man with a rough face appeared before Yi Mo like a ghost. After seeing this old man, Yi Mo's pupils dilated. Perhaps that guy was Tai's strongest. Yi Mo felt the power of Foundation establishment state on him, but Yi Mo knew that old man wasn't a Dao cultivator. His qi surpassed Len Quan and Ling Wushui's. Was he above Great Heaven? It was the first time that Yi Mo saw an ancient martial artist above Great Heaven. That old man had the qi of Foundation establishment state and gave Yi Mo a strong oppressive feeling. However, Yi Mo wasn't afraid of the old man. He had cultivated the 3-birth chant, so his spirit sense was very powerful, and he had a large and strong cultivation essence. What made Yi Mo confused was that old man clearly didn't fear him. Then why did he wait to come out until almost all of Tai had been annihilated? If he hadn't been going to burn the main palace, that old man wouldn't have even come out. Yi Mo flicked his flying sword, and his strong battle intent appeared. Feeling this, the old man sneered, as though his authority was being challenged. He said coldly, "Are you going to fight me?" "Ha ha." Yi Mo laughed. "Old man, I came here to slaughter and burn this place down. What are you going to do about it? Since you're standing in front of me, I will kill you." Okay, I wasn't planning on fighting, but since you're so confident, I'll see if you have real power or if you're just capable of killing Chakans. The old man was angry. Cocky sh*t. Yi Mo spat as his flying sword turned into a white ray, and he shot it over. The old man raised his palm in midair. After throwing the strike, Yi Mo immediately saw with his spirit sense that there was an invisible ripple in front of his flying sword. It was like an impassable barrier. Such powerful inner chi. Yi Mo was amazed. For the first time, he met someone who had more strength on his inner chi cultivation than his cultivation essence. No, this wasn't inner chi. This was something as strong as cultivation essence. Yi Mo threw a punch. He was only at stage 7 of chi gathering. He didn't have any special weapons, killing means, or cultivation techniques. He only had a flying sword. Yi Mo chose to fight the old man hand against hand, because after cultivating the 3-birth chant, his cultivation chi, that could only be transformed into cultivation essence at foundation establishment state, had been transformed early. However, Yi Mo knew he had too little means of fighting enemies. It wasn't enough if he was in the cultivation realm. Yi Mo's fist hit the air wall, making a huge, deep explosion. The wall behaved like paper mesh. It was broken by Yi Mo. The flying sword was freed. It spun a circle and stood in the air. Such strong chi, the old man applauded and took a step forward. His palm clenched into a fist, and he punched. Instantly, Yi Mo felt like he was trapped in a cage. He sometimes seemed to see one or tens of fists coming to his way from all directions. Very well, Yi Mo punched too. Chapter 754. Medicine of the Legends. Chapter 754. Medicine of the Legends. Bang, bang, bang. Before the 2 fists even touched, the sound of air exploding created a huge ravine in the earth between them. Crack! Yi Mo's fist finally clashed with the old man's, and as a huge pain came from his fist, Yi Mo knew his bones were shattered. But Yi Mo knew that the old man wasn't much better than him. His inner chi was strong, but it wasn't Tao cultivation essence. He was also old, and his body was weaker. The old man probably took a bigger hit than him. Yi Mo sneeringly took a lotus life pill and was about to fight again. Wait, the old man waved his hand. I'm old, so I have to admit defeat. If we keep fighting, my 2 hands will become disabled. Yi Mo stopped and smiled. So that means I can burn this palace down now, and you won't have any objections? The old man smiled bitterly. I never had any objections when you came to annihilate the Tai sect, but I suggest you don't burn this palace down. It doesn't belong to Tai. It's a heritage of the magical continent. There was once a glorious past here, but that was truly a long time ago. The old man paused before looking at Yi Mo. You probably don't cultivate ancient martial arts. If I'm right, you cultivate a type of truth cultivation method. In other words, you cultivate the supreme Tao, and so you're countless times stronger than us ancient martial arts cultivators. Yi Mo was dazed. He was already shook when this old man said he didn't care if Tai was annihilated, but his words after that shook him even more. You know about truth cultivation? Yi Mo asked subconsciously. Surprise and joy appeared in the old man's eyes. He quickly said, So it was like that. You're a truth cultivator and not an ancient martial arts cultivator indeed. Great, great. It's been nearly 100 years. And I've finally found a real truth cultivator. Seeing Yi Mo's confusion, the old man suddenly said, I am called Li Chung. If you don't mind, please let me invite you for a chat at my place. Sure, Yi Mo agreed without hesitation. He could tell Li Chung didn't have any killing intent for him, and even if he did, he wouldn't care. Moreover, he also had many things to ask this Li Chung. Yi Mo didn't mention burning the palace down again, and Li Chung didn't bring it up either. He knew that this was Yi Mo giving him some consideration, and that he had decided not to burn the palace down. Li Chung lived at a peaceful valley behind a mountain to the back of Tai. The valley looked like the small home of a farmer. The air was fresh and soothing. This was spirit chi. Yi Mo was stunned. He didn't think this place would have so much better spirit chi than outside. Yi Mo sent his spirit sense in, and immediately found a simple spirit chi gathering formation. Due to its age, though, it was getting old, but it still had some effect. Please have a seat, Li Chung pointed at a stone stool. Yi Mo sat down, and Li Chung went into a different room. He brought out 2 cups of milky white liquid and gave one to Yi Mo. Yi Mo took the cup and smelled it. His hands shook, and he said in shock, "Is this 10,000 year old stalagmite marrow?" Li Chung sighed. "As I thought, you know what it is." Yi Mo almost cried. How could he not know? This was worth a fortune in the cultivation realm. In fact, it was legendary. A stalagmite marrow pill was much better than a lotus life pill, but people rarely used it to cure wounds, as it had a more important use, which was to make the 5-essence pill. The 5-essence pill's value was unimaginable. Even on Luo continent, it was but something of legend. It was a pill that could give birth to a spirit root. In the cultivation realm, there were only 5 types of herbs that could give spirit roots, and those who had a spirit root already could get their spirit root upgraded when they ate the 5-essence pill for the first time. Such a precious thing was drunk as water by this old man. Yi Mo wanted to cry. Seeing Yi Mo dazing at the marrow, Li Chung went inside and carried out a 5-liter bucket and gave it to Yi Mo. "This is all the 10,000 year stalagmite marrow, as you called it. I have got no use for it. It's yours." Yi Mo took the bucket shakily. This was the most expensive gift he had ever received in his 2 lifetimes. "This is too precious." Yi Mo didn't want to say it, but he had to. It really was. Li Chung waved his hand. "This might be very important to you, but to me, it's just a thirst quencher, able to make me healthier at most. I've cultivated ancient martial arts for 120 or so years, and although my body is getting weaker, it's still fine, so I don't really need it." Yi Mo heard this and didn't decline anymore. He took all of it, including the cup he was given, and put it into his storage ring. Spatial ring. Such things really exist. Li Chung was also quite shook, but not really shocked, to oblivion. Then Yi Mo gave a lotus life pill to Li Chung. "Li Qianbei, this pill isn't worth even 1/10,000th of the 10,000 year stalagmite marrow, but it can cure all non-soul related injuries. It's yours." Okay, that is useful to me." Li Chung took it without hesitation. Yi Mo saw this and asked again, "Li Qianbei, I've been here for some time now. How come other people don't know the truth about cultivation, but you do?" Li Chung sighed. 100 years ago, I wasn't even 30 when I reached the Earth level peak, and when I was 1 step away from what they now call the Great Heaven Stage, I could easily kill great Heaven Masters. Because of this, I was cocky. Then the Hidden Sects tournament came. I represented Tai and beat more than 10 Ice Lake and all Heaven Sect disciples and helped Tai achieve the special grade Hidden Sect ranking. Due to this, I was named the youngest elder in the sect, the only elder who hadn't reached Great Heaven yet. Yi Mo nodded. To reach the Earth level peak before 30, this was genius indeed. No wonder he could help Tai achieve the special grade Hidden Sect ranking. But Li Chung shook his head and said with a reminiscing tone, "This place here was originally the base of a small sect, but after Tai became a special grade sect, they took this place over. I didn't like abusing the weak, so I wasn't happy. But after staying in Tai long enough, I realized that the reason why I had been able to beat all those disciples from Ice Lake and all heaven was actually because of foul play from Tai and Kuan Xian. Two of their genius disciples had been broken before the tournament. Tai and Kuan Xian had also instigated internal conflicts in Ice Lake, and the All Heaven sect, Ci Hangjing Mosque, was very hard to meddle with internally, but Ice Lake had a big internal conflict and was lowered to a third-grade sect. Then Li Cheng drank all of the 1,000 year stalagmite marrow in his cup. Yi Mo's heart ached upon the scene, and he was scared Li Cheng would ask him for more. So he quickly took out a few cases of Mao Tai wine. Qianbei, you should drink some wine. It tastes better than the stalagmite marrow. It's Mao Tai. I drank this 30 years ago. It's good. It's good. Li Cheng took out a bottle and sliced off the top with his hand. He poured a cup for himself and said, "So I wasn't happy with the sect schemes. Thus I reproached the sect leader and was hence locked up here." "You were locked up here?" Yi Mo pointed at the beautiful paradise, thinking, "This is no prison, it's a holiday resort." Li Cheng smiled. "It became like this afterwards. When I first came here, it was a battered valley. There was an extremely cold cave behind the valley, and I found the marrow there. I found buckets of stalagmite marrow there, but I drank it all. This is all that remains." Yi Mo's mouth spasmed. Chapter 755, Hidden Sex Catastrophe. Chapter 755, Hidden Sex Catastrophe. In that cold cave, there was also a skeleton missing an arm. I found answers on a manual of animal skin left behind. He was an ancient martial arts cultivator. He said he had found a certain type of people in this world called the truth cultivators. They could apparently ascend into the immortal realm if they cultivated to the extreme. He spent the following decades searching for them since until he got heavily injured and died. Li Cheng continued, "After knowing this, I got very excited. When my time here ended, I left Tai in the search of truth cultivators. I was no longer interested in ancient martial arts. When I was 50, I automatically broke through to great heaven. I also found a truth cultivation ruin and got a cultivation method. When Tai knew that I had reached great heaven, they invited me back. I wanted a quiet place to cultivate, so I came back to Tai and focused on cultivation." Yi Mo felt something was odd. How come Li Cheng hadn't progressed at all? Li Cheng poured another cup for himself and said, "I cultivated for 20 whole years and got nothing. I didn't even reach stage 1 Qi gathering in there. In my despair, I left Tai and searched for herbs as my lifespan was about to end. I wanted to break through in ancient martial arts to increase my life. My truth cultivation had no progress, but my ancient martial arts talent was absurd. Not only had I reached Great Heaven Peak, but I had even reached the state people think is above Great Heaven, which is turning inner Qi into liquid. After that, I gained mental power, and through that I saw what was inside a jade slip. I realized I had no spirit root, so I couldn't cultivate it. In my disappointment, I destroyed everything I had related to truth cultivation, filled up the cave, and settled here. In my decades of peaceful meditation, I understood something. If something isn't in your life, don't forcefully try to take it." Yi Mo finally understood why things were as they were. He knew that the stalagmite could be made into the 5-essence pill to create spirit root, but he didn't say it because he couldn't make it with his current power. He would probably have to wait until foundation establishment state. Instead of giving Li Cheng false hopes, he might as well not saying anything. If he reached foundation establishment state and Li Cheng wasn't dead yet, he would give him a 5-essence pill. However, Yi Mo suddenly thought of something. If Li Cheng had cultivated ancient martial arts that rapidly, he should have had spirit root. How could he not have it? Yi Mo poured a cup of wine for Li Chung and asked, Li Qianbei, I have 2 questions I want to ask. First, since you're from Tai sect, why didn't you stop me from annihilating Tai? Second, I want to know why there is such a huge difference in between great heaven martial artists. Li Chung smiled. I didn't like what Tai Yi did to me in the beginning. Also, in my journey, I met Master Tianze. He had an unparalleled fortune-telling power. He told me that Tai would only have 100 years of fortune. 100 years later, Tai would cease to exist. So I knew when you came that Tai's time was up. Yi Mo was shook. Was there really such person in the world? Xiaoyan also had a fortune-teller who told her grandpa that her husband's surname would be Yi. It was too accurate. There were fortune-tellers in the cultivation realm too, but no one who could be this specific. Li Chung continued. As for the great heaven issue, there are many ancient martial artists, but there can't be more than 10 that truly understand great heaven. To be precise, I've only barely reached great heaven. A long time ago, the hidden sect's ancient martial arts were divided into 4 levels: yellow, black, earth, heaven. Only those who surpassed heaven state were great heaven. But these few hundred years, there was barely anyone who could reach great heaven. Not one in 100 years. The faith in ancient martial arts started to decline, so people started to remove the level heaven and just called it great heaven. Hence, after you break through earth level peak, it's not heaven level but great heaven. Yi Mo finally understood. It seemed his conjectures before were right. Li Chung continued. I also found some similar records when searching for truth cultivation ruins. I realized that I was heaven level, not great heaven. So I came back and tried to reach great heaven. Due to each sect having different ways of reaching heaven level, this created some differences in power. Some think great heaven is unblocking the run and do meridians. Some think the formation of Qi-Si is great heaven. But only when one attains both, it is truly heaven level. Turning inner Qi into liquid and gaining mental powers is a true great heaven ability. However, there are rarely such heaven levels among the hidden sects. Most of them only can form a Qi-Si. Yi Mo nodded. It seemed Run Pingchuan's understanding of the system was right, but he had neglected heaven level. Yi Mo talked with Li Chung for the whole night before leaving the next morning. He wanted to teach Mo Yushin a lesson but didn't find him. Then, Yi Mo went to Gemini Sword sect. 3 days later, news spread out. Because some big sects had ganged up on the mysterious powerhouse Yi Mo, he had said he would visit them one by one later on. And he did so indeed. It was considered the biggest hidden sects disaster of the century. On May 13th, Tai was annihilated, and it became a part of history. On May 14th, first grade sects Gemini Sword sect for Wind Valley and Crystal sect were annihilated. The second grade sects Alliance Fist Hall, Extreme Weapons sect, and another 8 sects were annihilated. On May 15th, the first grade sects Forgery Hall and Rainbow sect were annihilated. Moreover, the second grade sects Fusion Fist sect, Tong Sword Mountain, and 4 others were also annihilated. 7 more third grade sects were annihilated too. On May 17th, Kuan Qian sect had all their sect members go out to greet Yi Mo and give him countless gold coins and herbs. They expelled the missing Ling Wushui. Yi Mo accepted these gifts and let Kuan Qian sect go, taking Kuan Qian as an example. Other sects who participated in the attack also did this. Yi Mo, for some reason, accepted it all and didn't keep annihilating sections. A catastrophe that had swept through the entire hidden sects had been calmed just like that. Those fearful hidden sects disciples became very careful with their actions, and all the sect leaders breathed at ease. However, the surviving sects made new rules. One of them was that those who offended Yi Mo would be killed, but that rule was unnecessary. Who would go look for trouble with the number 1 master of the hidden sects? You should be praying that he didn't come look for trouble with you. At this moment, Yi Mo was under the mountain of Ci Hang Jing Mok. He hadn't stopped because of the gifts. He was just sick of the slaughter. Xiaoyan was missing, so what if he annihilated the entire hidden sects? He had come there today to kill Jie Sun, not to annihilate the entire sect. He was sure that those nuns couldn't kill a great heaven master, so he had to kill her. Is it young hero Yi? An old voice sounded, and a nun quickly came up to Yi Mo. Yi Mo was dazed. This title was a first. He didn't mind, the nuns there due to the Luo Xian sisters. I'm Jie Xian. Young hero Yi, are you here for Jie Sun? The nun asked amicably. Yi Mo knew that the reason this sect had left the attack was due to Jie Xian, so he was grateful to her. Yes, I came to kill Jie Sun. Yi Mo didn't hide his killing intent. Jie Xian was dazed. However, she quickly reacted and said apologetically to Yi Mo, we weren't able to capture her that day. She ran away. I need to thank you, young hero Yi. Yi Mo was dazed. I came here to kill people, but you're thanking me? Chapter 756, Magical Merchant Association's Danger. Chapter 756, Magical Merchant Association's Danger. Jie Xian smiled. Young hero, Yi went to search for our sect member Luo Xian to the Shuangshi Cliff. I'm thanking you for this. Yi Mo realized that their sect's people also had gone to search for Luo Xian. Luo Xian is my friend. Of course, I need to go look for her when she is missing, Yi Mo said despondently. Jie Xian nodded. Jie Sun crossed the line. She attacked a core disciple. Yi Mo sneered. This witch not only killed many of my friends on the outside, but she also killed Luo Yin and forced Luo Xian to jump off a cliff. I must kill her personally. Jie Xian sighed and said, Luo Xian's master is still searching around the Shuangshi Cliff. Master Jie Xian, I'll be leaving now. I will come back after a while. Yi Mo wanted to give Luo Yin's body to Jie Xian, but he had already agreed to take her to Shifeng village. He would go there first, and then see. As for Luo Fei, she had gotten used to living in Luoyu, so he didn't tell Jie Xian. He didn't even mention the Ni Luo Sutra either. Regardless of whether it is useful or not, without Luo Xian there, he didn't want to share everything. Yi Mo didn't know where Yunzi was in Chan City, but he knew that with her abilities she would be the first to know when he arrived. Hence she would come find him. Yi Mo walked into a restaurant without even scanning his spirit sense in. He waited for Yunzi there and ate some food in the meantime. Although the hidden sects had been reprimanded by Yi Mo to keep a low profile, Chan City was still very prosperous. Some small sellers dared to have stalls in the city streets now. The people who charged expensive stall prices had left too, because they had heard that Yi Mo had gone to annihilate Tai, because a Tai disciple had taken his stall. Of course, some people didn't believe so. However, the one who was talked most about was that Yi Mo Qinbei. You guys don't know. My cousin was also at the magical continent mountain. That Yi Qinbei was really powerful. He killed more than 10 great heaven masters with one hand. Then he blew and shot a 100-meter-long flame. Puff! That's wrong. Yi Qinbei used frost blades. He sliced them using freezing ice. The great heaven masters were immediately frozen to death. What do you mean with Yi Qinbei? Yi Mo is very young. He just looks scary. Yes, I heard he's almost 3 meters tall. He can crush ordinary people with one hand. It's also said that he has something with a small nun from Ci Hangjing Mosque. That's also why they didn't join the fight. Yi Mo sat in the restaurant listening to these rumors. He eventually even heard the rumor that he had killed all of Tai sect's people with a slap. Yi Mo was speechless. He thought that technological development was really important after all. If there were TVs, there wouldn't be that much misinformation. Spewing out 100-meter-long flame? Was he a level 7 monster? But those who had really seen Yemo or knew of his means wouldn't come out to explain either. They were scared they would offend Yemo, and that was lethal. Yu knew about it. Although Shangqing Mountain had also given Yemo a lot of wealth and herbs, many disciples requested to leave and experienced the world fearing that Yemo would attack the sect. The big sects also feared that Yemo's word wasn't trustworthy, so they allowed this. Yuyan was a disciple who had left to experience the world. Yuyan had heard these rumors and got contemptuous. Yet, at the same time, she thought that if Yemo really had taken her that night, maybe the Yu family could have been the #1 family then. Every time she thought about this, she regretted it. If she had known that Yemo was that strong, why would she even have tried to suck up to that dog shit Marshall Brother Guan? However, just when she was thinking about this, she saw Yemo also walk into a restaurant. She was shook and immediately looked down. There was enmity between her and Yemo. Would he kill her immediately if he knew she was there? Yuyan didn't dare to look up and tried desperately to find a way out of there. Yemo saw her as soon as he walked inside, but he despised that woman a lot. It affected his appetite to eat in the same restaurant as her. Due to this, Yemo didn't bother waiting for Yunzi. He scanned his spirit sense out and immediately found her in a big meeting room in the Magical Merchant Association's building. He immediately knew why she wanted him to help her. Yemo left the restaurant. Yuyan considered her options for a long while and decided to go find Yemo. Yemo could kill her easily if he wanted to. Instead of hiding, she might as well face up to him. She looked good and was a virgin. Perhaps if he was interested and she slept with him for a night, all would be different. Yuyan got excited and looked up. However, she was dazed. Yemo was gone. In the most grandiose room of the HQ of the Magical Merchant Association, there were many masters. Yunzi and her maid Xiaoling were also there, but their faces looked really bad. There were also 6 men and 3 women. The strongest was already at Great Heaven, but of course, not the same Great Heaven that Li Cheng had mentioned. Elderly Pei, you're our Magical Merchant Association's Great Heaven Elder. My father was also generous to you. Why did you betray the Magical Merchant Association and coerce me like this? Yunzi's expression looked bad, but her tone was calm. Elderly Pei looked past his 50s, but he was very handsome. He also had a good body, and in fact he was in his 60s. He frowned after he heard Yunzi's words. A seductive hot woman next to him said in contempt, "Z, can you blame Big Brotherly Pei for this? Your father offended the Sea Merchant clan. Why drag us in it? Also, even if the Magical Merchant Association doesn't join the Sea Merchant clan, it will still get devoured. It's best for you to join forces with the Sea Merchant clan now." As soon as she said this, someone agreed. Yes, although your father created Magical Merchant Association from scratch, it has reached today's power due to everyone's hard work. The Sea Merchant clan is stronger than the Magical Merchant Association. It's a good opportunity to join them now. Otherwise, in 2 years, perhaps the Magical Merchant Association won't exist. The old man next to Yunzi suddenly sneered and got up. Everyone knows what you guys are thinking. When the Magical Merchant Association was acclaimed all over the magical continent, and the old president was still here, why didn't you say that? Because at that time, you were all earning money and had a high status. Now that something has happened to the Magical Merchant Association, you just want to sell it to our opponent. If you join them, you can remain as elders and keep earning money. But what about the Magical Merchant Association? Yunzi sighed and stopped the old man from continuing. She also knew what these people were thinking. Yuntong, stop pretending to be the good guy. I won't believe that you've earned less than us these years at Magical Merchant Association. Moreover, we earn the money through our hard work. We're helping the Magical Merchant Association now. What are you doing? Another monkey-faced man got up and said, Yun Zi couldn't hold it anymore and yelled in anger. Chu Iju, shut up. Don't think I don't know what you're plotting. How did my father get injured? Who sent people to assassinate me? Shameless. How can you dare say you haven't conspired with the Sea Merchant clan? Ha ha ha. You make it sound really bad. It's not conspiring, it's called cooperating. The meeting room's door got opened, and a man in his 30s walked in. He had two middle-aged men behind him, who were clearly great heaven masters. Chapter 757. Your Yi Mo? Chapter 757. Your Yi Mo Feng Zhuping? This is the Magical Merchant Association's meeting room. What are you doing here? Yunzi was shocked. However, she immediately understood what was going on. Feng Zhuping was the young master of the Sea Merchant clan. The fact that he was there meant that he had conspired with some of the elders of the Magical Merchant Association and decided to be public about it. Young Master Feng, some people greeted him as soon as he came in. Yunzi saw it clearly. Out of the 9 elders, 7 of them got up and greeted Feng Zhuping as though he was a VIP and not some unwelcomed guest. At the same time, it also meant that only Elder Feng and Elder Mang were still on her side. Feng Zhuping smiled and didn't sat down. He studied Yunzi and said slowly, Yunzi, Goddess Sihua, such a big name, and you look a lot prettier than before. As for why I'm here, I came to do business, of course. Then, Feng Zhuping scanned the 2 elders who didn't greet him with killing intent flashing in his eyes. I'm very sad to hear that something happened to old man Yun. However, Goddess Sihua, we, the Sea Merchant clan, are here to help the Magical Merchant Association. Of course, it's only because I've been in love with you for long. You shit. Don't make me disgusted. Just by looking at your dad's character, I can tell you think I don't know what you're here for? Piss off. This is the Magical Merchant Association's place. Stop acting cocky here. One of the 9 elders got up and spat. Crush this annoying fly for me, Feng Zhuping sneered. One of the middle-aged man behind him had already charged at the man who had just spoken and casually punched him. That elder knew he was going to be attacked, so he took out a sword and fought the middle-aged man back. The man's fist stayed in the same direction, but just as it was about to touch the sword, it drastically changed direction. The fist clashed with the sword, but the sword was shattered by this fist, and the elder flew into the wall spitting blood. A few shards of the sword pierced into the elder's body. Yun Zi quickly helped the elder get up and said, Elder Feng, are you all right? Then she placed a pill in Elder Feng's mouth. I'm fine. The elder took the pill and managed to barely stand up. That strike had caused him heavy injuries. The middle-aged man was going to keep attacking, but Feng Zhuping waved his hand. Wu Chang, we'll leave it at that. There is no rush to kill him now. Yes, Wu Chang agreed, and then looked at Elder Feng, saying coldly, You're a mere half-step great heaven, yet you dare act cocky. You're crossing the line, Feng Zhuping. You and your father Feng Qiu are the same dog breed. Shameless. No wonder your habits are the same as your father's. A woman stood up and pointed at Feng Zhuping in anger. The female elder's words greatly offended Feng Zhuping. She had talked about the taboo subject in his house. Feng Ning's concubine was cheating on him, and he found out, so he got people to tie the woman up and sink her into the sea. However, Feng Zhuping was also interested in that concubine, and he secretly saved her to be his private sex slave. When word got out, it became the biggest joke. So he immediately ordered, Wu Bai, kill her. Wait, you can't kill here. The reason I'm still at Chan City is because I'm waiting for Brother Yi. If you dare to kill here, when Brother Yi comes, your Sea Merchant clan will become history. Yunzi got up. She couldn't allow her only remaining elders to be killed. Ha ha! Feng Zhuping laughed. You two are intimate indeed. Is he your F***CK buddy? Looks like Goddess C. Hua only puts up a sacred look, but in your bones, you're a SL*T. If you want a man that much, I can satisfy you later. Feng Zhuping suddenly stopped laughing and said coldly, Brother Yi, even if your ancestor Yi comes, I will still kill whoever I want to kill. Make my sea merchant clan become history? I want to see how it becomes history. But if he comes, I will let you see him become history. Someone answered him, Oh, I'm here, all right. I also want to see how you will make me become history. Feng Zhuping just realized that there was an extra person in the room, a very young man. Who are you? When did you come in? Feng Zhuping became careful. He hadn't even seen the man come in. Brother Yi, you're here? Yunzi's joyful and surprised voice sounded. Feng Zhuping's expression sunk. So you're that Yi guy? Yi Mo smiled. That's right. I just heard you want to make me history. So I came. Feng Zhuping hadn't gone to the magical continent mountain. He had heard news of what happened there, but he didn't know Yi Mo and didn't know that Brother Yi was Yi Mo. If he had known Brother Yi was the one who had massacred the magical continent mountain, he would have never come there. Even Len Quan, Ling Wushui, Chi Kai, or any of them could have annihilated the sea merchant clan, much less the Yi Mo who had killed them. Feng Zhuping sneered. Wu Chang cut off his ligaments. I need to observe Brother Yi closely. Yes, Wu Chang answered, and charged at Yi Mo. He just reached his hand to Yi Mo's neck, assuming that someone this young was at most black level. But before Wu Chang arrived, for wind blades flew over. Wu Chang was at heaven level, and Yi Mo didn't intentionally hide his wind blades, so he immediately noticed it and was shook, without thinking he wanted to dodge the 4 wind blades. However, what shook him even more was that instead he got held in the air. Of course, Wu Chang knew what this was, an inner chi wall. Slump, Wu Chang fell on the ground exactly like how Feng Zhuping had wanted Yi Mo to be. His ligaments were all cut off. Your Yi Mo. Wu Chang just said this, and he immediately fainted. The meeting room became eerily silent. Feng Zhuping could even hear his heavy breathing. His great heaven master hadn't even touched Yi Mo and had had his ligaments severed. That Brother Yi was the strong? Not even Yunzi's father was the strong. Feng Zhuping felt his hands go cold. He remembered what Wu Chang had said. He looked up at Yi Mo and said, You're Yi Mo? Feng Zhuping just said this subconsciously. He didn't know who Yi Mo was, but this didn't mean that other people didn't know. Most of the people in the room understood. The weather in May wasn't hot. It was in fact quite cool, but some of the elders started to sweat. Feng Zhuping subconsciously looked at the elders, who were in a daze as well as Wu Bai. He then remembered something. His face went deadly pale as he murmured, You're Yi Mo. Chapter 758, Magical Merchant Association Secret. Chapter 758, Magical Merchant Association's secret. Feng Zhuping could no longer control his horror when he understood who Yi Mo was. He knelt down in a thud and couldn't speak at all. At this moment, he understood it was completely different seeing people get killed and getting killed yourself. Wu Bai was also shook. Although he was great heaven, Wu Chang was a bit stronger than him. Yet even Wu Chang couldn't last one move with Yi Mo, so he would definitely lose too. But if he didn't go up, he wouldn't be able to escape from Feng Neng either. When he saw Yi Mo turn back without looking at him and Feng Zhuping, he thought, I'm going to die either way. I might as well use this opportunity to sneak attack Yi Mo. Wu Bai pulled out his curved sword and almost hacked the sword on Yi Mo's back. Just when Wu Bai thought he was going to succeed, Yi Mo punched out without even turning back. The fist wind happened to land right on Wu Bai's dantian. It destroyed his dantian and Qi Si immediately. Wu Bai fell down on the ground like a leaking balloon. At the same time, his heart went cold. He knew he was over. Although he hadn't died, he was an ordinary person now. I won't kill you. You can bring this young master's head back for me. Yi Mo's words made Wu Bai shiver. He knew that this was the same as being killed. Yi Qinbei, I didn't think your glorious presence was here. This Wanbei is Magical Merchant Association's elder Chu Yizhu. The Sea Merchant clan has been oppressing us Magical Merchant Association, and I've long since wanted to resist. Since Qianbei is here to uphold justice, Wanbei a monkey-cheeked man walked out and bowed to Yi Mo. But he was stopped by the other female leader, Chu Yizhu. How are you so shameless? Who just said that the Magical Merchant Association was about to be annihilated. Who just said that the Magical Merchant Association might as well join the Sea Merchant clan. Elder Mang, how could I be someone like that? I've long since disliked this Feng Zhuping. Chu Yizhu argued without even blushing. Then he went up and kicked Feng Zhuping. Feng Zhuping didn't dare to move. Yi Mo sneered he wasn't dumb. When Chu Yizhu walked up to kick Feng Zhuping, he didn't really dare do anything to him. He was just declaring his loyalty to Yi Mo. Yet at that moment, Yi Mo shot a beam of qi onto Feng Zhuping's vital points nonetheless. As soon as Chu Yizhu kicked young Master Feng Zhuping, the young master fell dead to the ground. This not only shocked Chu Yizhu, but also the rest. They could tell he wasn't trying to kill Feng Zhuping, yet Feng Zhuping had died. This was very strange. No, I didn't want to kill him. Chu Yizhu was shocked and screamed. Yi Mo was fine if he killed this young master, but Chu Yizhu was done for. The Sea Merchant clan's leader, Feng Nung, was at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage. It would be all too easy for him to kill an Earth-level peak like him. Oh, I thought you couldn't stand the Magical Merchant Association being oppressed, and that's why you did what you did. So that wasn't the case, was it? No matter what, since you were willing to kill this guy, it means you're still siding with the Magical Merchant Association, at least Yi Mo said. No, I am no dash. Chu Yizhu didn't know what to do anymore. Yi Mo ignored Chu Yizhu and looked at Wu Bai. Take these two away. Perhaps I might accidentally go for a spin at the Sea Merchant clan later. Wu Bai didn't dare argue at all. Yi Mo slowly sat down into a chair. He knew Yunzi would deal with the remaining things. As expected, Yunzi immediately said, "The elders can go deal with some of the work in the association. It's been piling up recently. I need to discuss some things with Brother Yi. Uncle Tong and Xiaoling take Elder Feng to a doctor and use the best herbs to treat him." No one could tell Yi Mo had assassinated Feng Zhuping, but Yunzi was suspicious. However, she wouldn't care either way. Although she knew there were a lot of elders on the Sea Merchant clan side, she couldn't use Yi Mo to get rid of all of them, because they still managed a lot of matters. Goddess Si Hua, you were probably asking for help with this, right? I've already helped you now, and I believe no one would dare to plot against your Magical Merchant Association anymore. But there's something I need to ask you to, Yi Mo said. Yunzi quickly said, "Brother Yi, to be honest, I had been planning on giving up on the Magical Merchant Association. I didn't ask you here for this." Yi Mo was dazed, so he was wrong? But he didn't care. It was just the lift of a finger after all. He came here because he promised to help her, but more importantly, he came to find out how to get out of here. Mu Xiaoyan was gone, and he had to find her, but he had left Luo Yu for 4 years already. Yi Mo wanted to know how Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue were doing. So as soon as he knew how to leave this continent, he would get the bitter 10 years and leave. Even if he came back again, he would bring Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue with him. "Oh, what is it then? Tell me," Yi Mo said. Yunzi fell silent for a while, and then made up her mind. The reason why our Magical Merchant Association was able to become the #1 merchant association in the magical continent is not only due to my father's cultivation level, but also due to a reason no one knows. Yi Mo knew her father Yun Dongxia was Great Heaven Peak, but he really didn't know what this other reason for their success could be. Yun Zi sighed, a slightly bigger sect in the magical continent would have their own merchant association. Even though my father's power is strong, it would at most make people think twice if they wanted to take us on. Our foundation is far weaker than Tai Yi's and Kuan Qian's. The reason why our business has done well is because we can go to the outside world. What? Yi Mo got up abruptly. He wanted to ask her precisely about this, and here she spoke about it herself. Soon, Yi Mo calmed down and asked, I thought there was only a chance to go out every 50 years. Even if you forcibly go out, it's every 20 years, right? Yunzi looked at Yi Mo in surprise and quickly explained, what you mentioned is a secret kept by the big hidden sections. But our Yun family knows a place that allows you to go out once every year. Seeing Yi Mo's strong interest, Yunzi spoke more carefully. My grandfather discovered the place accidentally, but you need chi stones to go out. And those who go out have to wait a month before coming back using the same way. Yi Mo thought it might be a teleportation formation. Yunzi continued, after my grandfather found that place, he didn't find out why it could let us go out. Later on, however, my father researched large amounts of ancient texts before realizing that it might be a teleportation formation. But he wasn't sure either, and it was a too complicated matter, so he stopped his research. Nonetheless, he used that secret to bring in lots of products from the outside. And that's how our Yun family's merchant association got so big. Chapter 759. Way to get out. Chapter 759. Way to get out. So that was how the Magical Merchant Association began. Yi Mo admired Yun Dongxia's business brains. Yunzi continued, but we can't take too many things at once using the teleportation formation, and only one person can go out each time. I have always wanted to go out, but Father didn't feel it was safe, so he didn't let me go. Each time, it is only a Yun family member that is allowed to go through there. The person also has to be absolutely reliable. Only Father, I, and a few elders of the Yun family know. Then Yunzi looked dejected and said after a long while, for years ago, someone from the Yun family went out, but didn't come back when 1 month had passed. All our Yun family people have great self-control. They wouldn't be enticed by the luxurious world outside. My father knew deep down inside that something must have gone wrong, but he would rather believe the person was just held up by someone. Then, 3 years ago, the Yun family sent out another person, but 1 month later, he also didn't come back. My father knew something must have happened to the formation. So 2 years ago, he went there himself, but there was no news of him either. He didn't come back after 1 month. Yi Mo understood now that since these elders and Sea merchant clan members knew that Yun Dongxia went missing, they started to scheme for the Magical Merchant Association. But even if the people outside knew about the teleportation formation and started capturing people who went out from it, they wouldn't be able to stop Yun Dongxia. A great heaven peak would slaughter everyone outside. Yixing thought about how he came here 4 years ago. Was it due to the way in which he came here that damaged the formation? Yunzi said despondently. 3 months after my father left, that teleportation formation exploded, and only a pit remained. Yunzi looked up at Yi Mo and said, Brother Yi, I know you came from the outside, so I want to ask you to help look for my father after you go out. If possible, help my dad come back. I don't have anything that I can give you. I only have my looks. If you don't mind me, I'm willing to be your servant. Then, Yunzi wanted to kneel down in front of Yi Mo. He quickly stopped her. I want to know how you know I came from the outside. Yi Mo wasn't interested in having her as his servant. She wasn't his type. Moreover, he had too many women already. Yunzi seemed to know Yi Mo was going to ask this. She sat down again and said, A few years ago, a big-bearded man bought an earth spirit fruit and 2 sets of chi stones. If I'm not wrong, that person was you, Brother Yi. Before this, You used 500 kilograms of bricks of gold to exchange for gold checks. Those gold bricks were exactly the same shape and weight. Yunzi continued, I know that the technology outside is countless times better than here. Some of the power-generating technology was completely brought from the outside. The bricks are exactly the same, meaning that it was pressed by the same machine. There were also some letters on the bricks, and I know they were English, so I guess these bricks came from the outside. Yi Mo sighed. Miss Yun, you're right. I come from the outside. But perhaps you didn't expect one thing. I actually came to you to ask how to leave, yet it seems you don't know either. Yun Zi gazed at Yi Mo in shock, and then said after a while, Brother Yi, how did you come in then? Yi Mo could only tell her how he came in with Jie Sun. Hearing this, Yun Zi was greatly disappointed. Yi Mo saw this and said, Miss Yun, I really do have to go out. Tell me the way the hidden sects go out. Although the formation only weakens every few decades, I can take a look first. If I go out, I will help you find your father. Yunzi heard this and had a little more hope in her eyes. The place they use is Magical Continent Mountain. It has 9 peaks forming a 240-degree fan shape. The middle peak has a huge platform. That's the way out, but it only opens every 50 years, and the time frame it does is 6 hours. It's said that there's a northern 7-spoon star formation that can connect with it. After 3 years, people can come back here through that formation. Yi Mo asked, Is the exit over here also a northern 7-star formation? No, that's only on the outside. The one on the inside isn't, Yun Zi replied. Then is there a northern 7-star-like place in here? Yi Mo had to find the northern 7-star formation. If he didn't, he wouldn't have a way to find the bitter 10 years. And without the bitter 10 years, he couldn't reach Foundation establishment state. Yunzi frowned, and then shook her head. No, I've never heard any place in here that has the northern 7-star formation. Yi Mo sighed. It seemed it would be quite hard to find where the bitter 10 years grew. Yunzi took out a map and gave it to Yi Mo. This is a map of the magical continent. It isn't absolutely complete, but it has 90% of the places, so hopefully it be of some help to you. Yi Mo took it and had a look. It was very precise, and even had small places like the Huangping village. Yi Mo put the map away and said, Thank you, it will be useful to me indeed. Well then, I'm going to find Xiaoyun, and I still have some other business. If I have a way to go out, I will come find you. Yunzi knew that Yi Mo was going to go, so she quickly opened a wooden box next to her and took out a bag and a photo. This is my father's photo. And there are 20 chi stones inside here. They're useless to me now, but I hope you can take them. Yi Mo took everything without any refusal. This was not only useful for his cultivation, but also for the portal. Yi Mo, of course, wouldn't take it for free, though, so he gave her 4 jade bottles, saying, There are 4 pills inside of these. I've marked them all. The essence increasing pill can allow you to reach Earth level 100%. The great essence chi increasing pill can make you reach heaven level. Oh wait, I mean great heaven. This face preserving pill can preserve your face forever. This lotus life pill can cure any injuries. Thank you for your chi stones. Yunzi took these pills and was shocked. Any one of them could make countless people fight for it. Yet Yi Mo gave her 4. He was too generous. Yi Mo said again, Oh, and by the way, I have something else I need your help with, which is very important. Chapter 760. See Merchant Clan Leader. Chapter 760. See Merchant Clan Leader. When Yunzi woke up from her shock, her hands were still shaking. This was great heaven, the goal that countless Earth level peak cultivators could never reach in their lifetime, and it was in her hands. That face-preserving pill, too, she almost couldn't believe it. If it was someone else other than Yi Mo, she would laugh at them. But this was Yi Mo. He was a powerful master who surpassed all great heavens and a high-level herbal doctor too. If Yi Mo's pills weren't that strong, how could he beat all the great Heaven Peak masters? Yi Mo knew Yunzi was a bit excited. Before she could reply, he took a few more bottles of pills and gave them to her. "There's a few more pills here. Please sell them for me." Yunzi took the pills and said shakily, "Of course, you wanted me to help with that?" Yi Mo smiled. "Of course not." He took out a booklet from his ring and gave it to her. "Help me collect the things in here. There are some herbs and ores there. Gather whatever you can. I will buy it all. If I don't have enough, pay for me, and then I'll pay it back when I return." Yunzi took the booklet and had a flick through it. It was all precious herbs inside. There were many that she hadn't even heard of. Yunzi was still in a daze even after Yi Mo left. Magical Continent Mountain. It was the second time Yi Mo came here. He had come to check the peak that led to the outside world. It had been many days since the battle, and the bodies left behind were all cleaned up with nothing but blood marks to still prove there was once a great battle there. Yi Mo easily found the middle peak, and it was just like Yunzi said. It had a huge platform indeed. This was a 7-star formation, meaning that the formation here was related to 7 of the 9 peaks, and it resonated with the 7-star formation outside. However, there was no chi coming out of the formation at all. With Yi Mo's current power, he wasn't able to activate the formation and leave. If it were the one on the outside, he could try to use the method with 7 spirit stones, because the formation outside was loosened greatly, but the formation here was so complicated that he couldn't even find the eye of the formation. Even if he found it and put down spirit stones, Yi Mo knew that it wouldn't run on low-grade spirit stones. It would need at least top-grade spirit stones. He didn't even have any middle-grade spirit stones, much less top-grade spirit stones. The reason why the people from the continent could go outside every 50 years was because that was when the formation loosened and all the masters used their chi to open one spot of the 7 stars. Yi Mo checked the place out for a long time, but had to leave in disappointment. He couldn't use his power to open the formation, and he was sure that the bitter 10 years wasn't there. It was pointless to stay there. Perhaps he could try if he found top-grade spirit stones one day, but no matter what, Yi Mo had decided to also study formations henceforth. If he understood all of it, he could come in and out whenever he wanted. Luckily, the 3-birth chant was very helpful to him for learning new things. Perhaps he might be able to form his own style, just like with pill making. Yi Mo also needed to look at that exploded formation and find Mu Xiaoyan. He also wanted to go to Shifeng village to fulfill Luo Yin's wish. Of course, if he could find Jie Sun, he wouldn't mind killing her. The magical continent was a place ruled by the hidden sections. The strong ruled it, and the weak had to rely on the strong to live. There were many cities, and each city had a hidden sect controlling it from behind the scenes. The city lords had responsibility only towards the hidden sections. The main way for the cities to communicate was through merchant associations and merchants. The best career paths were to go to the hidden sects and then slightly below that to do business. Although hidden sects controlled the cities, in order to get more support, they would also have their own merchant associations. These associations would bring them large sums of money and cultivation resources as well as intel. Ever since the Magical Merchant Association declined, the Sea Merchant clan took over, quickly invading the Magical Merchant Association's land and most of their business. This time, Feng Zhuping had gone to Chan City to take over the Magical Merchant Association. The reason why Feng Ning dared to do this was because he was at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage now. He believed that after he devoured the Magical Merchant Association, he would be able to reach Great Heaven Peak within 2 years. If he did, then everything would be fine. His clan had 3 Great Heaven Masters, the Wu brothers, and a manager called Fong Quan. There was also a guy called Li Pei who had secretly joined him, although there were a few half-step Great Heaven cultivators too, Fong Ning knew that out of 100 half-step Great Heaven cultivators, maybe only 5 could reach Great Heaven, and at most 1 could reach Great Heaven Tertiary stage. 1 in 10 Great Heaven Tertiary stages could reach Great Heaven Peak, so he felt very safe with his son going there with the Wu brothers. Fong Ning thought about the bright future he had and couldn't help but be excited. He grabbed a maid next to him and was about to tear open her clothes. But sometimes things can't keep going as planned all the time. He was interrupted by his men's report. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.